Hey guys, and welcome to the JDRF charity live stream of The Walking Dead Season 1, Episode 4. And today I am joined by with Andrew Langley and Dan Connors. Welcome, guys.
Hello.
Hey, how are y'all doing tonight?
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Good. Thanks for doing this.
Really
This is
good.
awesome.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Super.
can't wait to relive this one again.
Yeah. From what I played the majority of this episode on my own time and like way long ago, and I never completed it. I'm kind of glad I didn't, because now I'm excited for like the twist. I mean, for the ending of this episode, but we'll see how that goes.
Well, that's only like what, an hour and a half, and you can finish it. Come on.
Yeah, and we'll talk for a little bit before then, and then we'll play it, and we'll see what the characters get into this time.
I'm gonna say for this episode, it could be worse, but not much.
I think that's what Dan wrote on my performance review at Telltale. Could be worse.
It could be worse. I worked retail, so yeah. But can y'all take a second to like try to like, does anything stick out in y'all's head that you remember while making this specific episode, or like even season 1 in general?
Oh man. Dan, do you want to go first?
No.
Sure. I think from the big picture perspective, it was 1 to 3 were kind of like kind of a package, in proving out what was possible, and 1 really caught us by surprise that it worked,
Mm-hmm.
and then 2 was like, okay, now what can we do? And we just threw everything you could think of in 2, which was an amazing episode. And then of course 3 is like the depths of like emotional pull. So by the time we had finished 3, everybody in the office was pretty much either in the zone or like emotionally drained. So we had 4 coming up, which was the kind of the adventure to kind of pick you back up after 3. So it was really fantastic and big, and it was a new place, and there was a lot of excitement going into it. And I remember the design feeling kind of different and new, kind of after that 1 to 3 trajectory that we went on. That you played episode 3 last, so you kind of know how that went. That's what I remember most about it, and it was kind of like a new energy to everyone to push to the end, and the outside world was really digging what we were doing at that point. I think 3 really shocked a lot of people, so 4 had, and we knew 5 was going to be great, so 4 had to bridge the gap and do it in style. So that was the goal.
Yeah, for me, it was like it was a crazy experience because prior to this episode, I've been mostly a programmer at Telltale. I did like a little bit of cinematic direction, but mostly programming. I think we were working on Walking Dead episode 1, and that's when Dan and management came to me and they were just like, we need you to design episode 4. And I had never designed anything before. So, but that was before episode 1 came out. So I was kind of like, yeah, okay, that sounds fun. Let's do that. And then we didn't know what the expectation was. And then episode 1 came out, and it was like, the reaction was, at least for me, it was surprising how much people responded. Like, I knew we had a good team, but I didn't realize how much people were going to respond to it. So then like episode 1 came out to like a huge response. Episode 2 came out to a huge response. And I'm working on episode 4 as a first-time designer. I'm just like, oh my God, like I do not want to screw this up. Right. But the good thing was like kind of the sketch of the episode beats were there when I joined the project. So I knew we had like a really strong start, and I knew we had a really strong ending. And my job was basically just to not screw it up as far as I felt. Yeah, it was like a really, it was a crazy thing to work on because we were working on, it was episodic gaming, right? So it was like the buzz and kind of the momentum was building as we were making the game and releasing it, which is like a really unique experience that we had at Telltale that like that anywhere else in the industry. So it was both like really super exciting and really super terrifying because you did not want to be the one that dropped the ball in the season, because every episode came out and it just got like better reviews, got all this hype behind it. You didn't want to be the one that screwed up. And No, thankfully, I think I did not screw up. But so we had like a great writer. We had Gary Whitta wrote this episode, who wrote like Book of Eli, and he wrote like the story for Rogue One, and was a great writer. And we had a director, Nick Herman. So, and like I said, like, and then Jake Rodkin and Sean Banman, who were kind of leading the season, that were defining what this was. So yeah, I just felt like all I had to do was not screw it up, and
Right.
it came out pretty good. Like I'm
more than that.
yeah, no, I'm happy with the end result, and I'm glad that it meant a lot to a lot of people. But it was definitely a crazy time for me to work on. But
oh yeah,
we had such a great team that it just really worked out well. So I'm super happy to be involved in this in any way possible.
Wonderful. If you guys are okay with it, we'll take a second to talk about JDRF, and of course the charity, and then if anyone in the chat has questions for you guys, y'all mind answering a few questions? You know,
not at all.
If y'all can think of the answers, you know, I know it's forever ago. It seems like.
Yeah, we were there, and if you can, it's one of those things. If you can remember it perfectly, you definitely weren't there, because it was a wild ride.
I believe it. So of course, JDRF is the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation, and for those of you who don't know, they're some of the leading researchers in finding a cure for type 1 diabetes. And this JDRF Game2Give charity event that we've been doing all this week, I believe we've raised a little over $30,000 so far towards the $50,000 goal. I don't remember the exact number, but pretty amazing. Over here, we've raised like $3,970, which was my goal was $400. So like to more or less, you know, times 10 that. Oh wow, Emily JDRF says that we currently have more than 41K. So that's amazing. Like, super proud to be a part of it. And as a little bit of my backstory, I've been asked to kind of tell why it's important to me. So my best friend, when I was in first grade and he was in kindergarten, we knew each other for about 18 years. His name was Blake, and he had type 1 diabetes at an early age. And we grew up together. I mean, we were like literally best friends, you know, brothers, not by blood, but just by connection. And we roomed in college together. We, you know, hung out every week, you know, all the way up through that point. And unfortunately, back in 2017, he was in a different town in his apartment, and his insulin pump stopped, like, malfunctioned basically, and he fell into a diabetic coma. And unfortunately, by the time anyone knew what was happening and got a hold of him, it was already too late. And you know, after living with him and, you know, loving him like a brother for 18 years, just to one day for him to just not be there, it was of course, I mean, it was the saddest time of my life. That last year of college was miserable, but because of that, JDRF is such an important charity group for me. He always was big in taking part in the JDRF runs and, you know, all the charity events. So I wanted to kind of pick up that torch and continue it. So it's really cool to have you guys here, and to have y'all, you know, come on the stream and help us raise some money.
Caleb, you're a beautiful man, and
oh, thank you.
Yeah, and as a father with a child with type 1 diabetes, I can only wish that he has a friend like you someday, or as he goes through life. So it obviously it means a lot to us to. I mean, that's a horribly sad story to me, and a horribly scary story to me too. As I've been working with Game2Give since we founded it. My son Ralston was diagnosed when he was 5, and you know, I started work with JDRF because as soon as we got diabetes, it was one of the first groups that contacted us, and I just wanted to pay it forward, pay it back, whatever, just get in. And I know a little about games, and a lot have been going on in the game space with charity. So I thought, hey, let's pull people together and make this happen. And one thing that we focus on is really trying to bring people with type 1 diabetes together in a community, bring them, pull the strength in numbers. Because for one, as a person who's been affected by diabetes, it is that old saying, this is the greatest community you didn't want to be a part of. But once you're here, it's an amazing group of people to be around. And a lot of people with diabetes don't make it public because they don't want to be identified as that guy with diabetes or that gal with diabetes. But when you take care of someone or you have it, I think you know how much other people with diabetes go through on a daily basis, and you really want to do everything you can to help them and find a cure, which is a big part of what Game2Give is about. And that's one of the most exciting things we're doing. So thank you for doing what you're doing, and I'm so sorry for the loss of your friend. Yeah, I hope we can raise some money and enjoy the Walking Dead playthrough. Yeah.
Not get too sad by any twists at the end of this episode, or shocked, or however it's gonna end.
Yeah, well, let's say it's a cliffhanger. Let's say that.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to be playing episode 5. I believe it's Saturday morning. I still need to finalize that with JDRF, but so I'll get to see it through the end this week. I'll just have to hold on a little bit after this episode.
Yeah, get prepared to spend your Saturday morning just like crying.
Yeah.
Because Jake Arkin and Sean Edmund did a phenomenal job with episode 5. It's really good.
That's
Bring your tissues.
right. Yeah. My wife will be still asleep after working her night shift Friday night, and she'll be like, "Why is he crying in the next room?" Like, it's wailing.
That's what you came here for. That's why you bought The Walking Dead.
Right. Yeah. I just want to say real quick, thank you so much for the 2 new recent donations, $20 from Mary and $50 from Kristen. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you.
While we were talking. Now, if anyone has any questions for these guys, don't ask me any questions. I wasn't there for development, but and we'll take some questions and then we'll jump in the game and hang out and chat and raise some money. I don't know if see, we have 27 viewers, but I just don't know if anyone actually has any questions right now.
I actually have a question for you, because you played episode 3 prior to this, right?
Yes.
I'm curious, like, what was your I didn't get to watch that stream, but like, what was your kind of feeling after you finished episode 3?
So I'd played the first 3.5 episodes forever ago, so like so unfortunately during these streams it wasn't as much of like, I wasn't shocked by any of the things as much as I was just like, oh my gosh, I forgot that happened, or like, oh no, this is that part, like, and needless to say, episode 3 is downright depressing, with some of my favorite characters going through, I mean, I guess we can spoil since it was in the past, but with Duck and Katya and like huge major, the first time that happened I was devastated. I couldn't even wrap my head around, like, of course I'm gonna offer to shoot him, but like I don't want to, but it really is, I mean, from the art style being, the cool comic book cel shaded look to the voice acting being so good, and obviously the direction y'all went with the story and the writing, like, it really is one of my favorite Telltale games, and I'm excited to play the other seasons. I've never played them, so because I always grew up playing like Sam and Max and the Back to the Future games, so like for me to finally beat season 1 of The Walking Dead and to move forward, I'm really excited for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. We actually, Solar Zebras asked, how long was the development process for each of the episodes? Oh, and
That's a
Nick,
tough. Yeah, because I think it changed as time went on. It's like episode one, obviously, the first episode of any season took longer to develop just because you were trying to define what the series was. Um, there would be a lot of mistakes made and a lot of corrections you had to make. So episode one development usually dragged on. Episode twos usually kind of also went through the same thing, since it was like episode two was being designed as episode one was being designed. So it was like once you figured out what the series was in episode one, it usually reflected back on two. And even on the three in some extent. By four, usually by episode four at Telltale, we would hit our stride in terms of production. I think that was the case here as well. It was still not a straightforward production, but with episode four, I think I did a little bit of design in episode one, and then I rolled off onto four immediately afterward. So I felt like I had a pretty good cushion between like when episode one ended and when episode four started. I could kind of like take the feedback from the community and the audience and try to incorporate that in four as much as possible. But I was still going to say it was like a 2 months development. Dan, do you remember? It felt like it was around.
It was about 8 or 9 months to get to the first episode. Aside from some delays at the very beginning, and then each episode after that usually was on about a 3 to 4 month cycle, depending, and then would kind of start them while the other ones were still going. 4 was a little bit tough because 4 we had this new environment of Savannah, and we had to introduce new characters because 3 had kind of we taken a few out. So anytime you invested in something new that wasn't when we built it, when we first started thinking about Telltale, we were always thinking about it as kind of like doing a sitcom or something where we would build the sets and the characters, and then you could just start writing scripts for them. So that the initial investment would come up front, and then you'd kind of have the tools to build the rest of them. But I'd say the in-season episodes usually took about 3.5 to 4 months, soup to nuts. And Kevin Boyle and Kirsten Kennedy, who produced this, were people who really did a lot of work in figuring out how to make that possible, because what we set up for ourselves was kind of what we wanted to set up was an ongoing experience for people to come back and play each game. But there was also this anticipation. So the release date had this extra thing of like, oh my God, I have to know what happens. So the audience had a high expectation of us. So we really kind of learned on the fly how to deliver and keep people with enough content, enough time to keep it interesting and relevant.
I just want to say real quick, Nick from Telltale Games is in the chat.
All right.
Nick,
I can't.
how's it going?
He was
Nick did a lot of good cinematography and sound work, as I recall.
Oh my gosh, the cinematography in this game is one of the things I keep bringing up in the episodes, because like the way it's just shot, like switching from character to character, it really adds to the drama and the thrill of just every moment, for sure.
I think the challenge of this episode was this episode was kind of like the penultimate episode of the series. So the challenging part of this episode was it was about moving kind of all the characters into position, to pay off into 5. So it was really like just a matter of like getting every character in a place where they needed to be by the end of the episode that would lead directly into 5, because Sean and Jake had a very clear vision about what they wanted 5 to be. So it was just a matter of like making sure we ticked all those boxes, making sure we knew where all the characters were in terms of like their mental state and their devastation, their goals. So, but to me, like this episode was also like kind of a mystery episode. It was kind of about solving this mystery of like who's the voice on the walkie-talkie. Get into Savannah, you learn about this community, like what happened there, and it's just kind of about discovering these things, but kind of always keeping the underlying thread of the voice on the walkie-talkie. Who is this person? How does it threaten Clementine? How does Lee feel about it? But like I said, like when I inherited it, like I knew it had a really strong beginning and a really strong end. So yeah,
just had to ramp it up to that final episode. I gotcha. I want to say thank you so much for the new donations we have. $60 from Natandra and $20 from
Thank you.
Natalia. Thank y'all so much. We're currently at $4,120 on this end.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
So yeah, we've luckily the last we raised most of the money from the previous Walking Dead streams we did on the actual JDRF channel with some other developers and whatnot. It was real good stuff. I wanted to say there was another question here. BotLover13 asks, were there any major issues developing this game or marketing wise getting it off the ground initially?
No, I don't think so, because the timing was just so good with the show. There was a lot of hype for the show. So, you know, when Joel Dreskin back at, who was a guy that worked for us in marketing, found them at Comic-Con in like 2000, and it was 2009 or 2010. And we were doing at the time a thing we called the zombie prototype, which was a way to try to get this type of gameplay that we were eventually going to make, which was choice and consequence gameplay. So he found them the Image Comics there, and they said, hey, we've got this title, we're going to make a show. And they were great partners. Robert and David got behind it, and David and DA, and everything was ready to go. And you know, then the title just kind of spoke for itself. So everyone you kind of showed it to, there started to be an excitement about it. And then we started to get an internal excitement when it got released. Everything, you know, there was the usual struggle to like get a first episode out, get it on multiple platforms, get it all to release simultaneously. You know, if I could tell you the whole thing, your head would explode. But nothing out of the ordinary.
Good.
But yeah, the momentum of I remember Joel said he got this franchise, and then I'm looking on YouTube and I see this trailer, the first trailer they did for the show. I'm just like, wow, that show is going to be really cool. And then I looked at the name of it. I said, oh my God, that's our franchise. So I was a little late to the party, but thankful.
Right. Great. It's always nice to realize that, you know, for one, I mean, the show, obviously, its popularity helped y'all's game, but then the game also helps the show, you know, and for y'all to have both those going at around the same time, I could definitely see how it kind of skyrocketed in popularity, for sure.
Yeah, and the comic book, we released that comic book screenshot that Dave Bogan and Derek Sakai had worked on, two of our amazing artists. And they just captured such a great look that was a bridge for the comic fans to the show. And it just fit so beautifully for the whole time and for the launch of that franchise. And it really did work super well. That finding that look was a huge thing for us. And obviously that comic book look stayed with us for a long time and helped people understand Telltale.
Oh, hey, Andrew, I think your mic's muted, or well, not coming through. Let me check real quick.
No. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right. Okay. Am I a little low, or like I think I saw something say I was a little low?
Yeah, JDRF asked if you could move a little closer to your mic, but I think you're good now.
Okay. Cool.
Are there any other questions you guys have before we jump into the game? Feels like we haven't been talking for very long, but I mean, it has like at the 40-minute mark. Well, I started the streamer, but never mind. It's at the 30. Got it. Change My Mind Please asks, were there any storyboards during development of this game? Or was it merely just inspired by the words on page and interpreted by each artist? I imagine there were storyboards.
Yeah, it's actually the way Telltale working was really unique in that way, where we didn't I mean, we would occasionally storyboard something out, but it was like the engine and the tools that were available to us were so easy to make content really quickly that I think like the game kind of was in a way its own storyboard. Like we would like play around with different shots and different like sequences and just put things together really quickly, get it playable. It was kind of like a living storyboard. I know we did like try on occasion to go and make a storyboard for a sequence, but then we ended up just being like, let's just make it in the engine. It was so fast to make that I don't know. It was just like that really quick iteration was beneficial to us because we were episodic. So as episodes were coming out, we could just like take the feedback and like roll with it right away. We didn't need to go through a storyboarding process and like locking shots and like much to the sound department's chagrin, like time blocking a lot of stuff. It was always like really up to the very last minute. So yeah, it was a living, breathing process as we went. But yeah, not so much storyboarding, but yeah, it was just about making content.
Episode 3 was the first episode we did a script read, and then I believe we did it on 4, 2, and 5. And the script read was a big part of really understanding what the game was going to be because it was so dialogue intensive, and you could get a feel for how each seed was gonna play out, and everything kind of flowed out of that. And then we kind of got everything up to kind of a playable level, and then the cinematographers came in and really made a lot of shot decisions on the fly, and then the voice would come in and then they'd adjust to that. So like Andrew said, it was a living thing, and script reads was a big part of our strategy that came out of Walking Dead season 1.
Yeah, definitely. I think the cinematographers definitely were just like building the game. Like they were just like the workhorses of the studio, where they would put together shots. You would entrust them a lot of like creative freedom and liberties, just like just make what you think is really good, and like here's the emotional impact of the scene. Here's like what we want to reinforce. Here's what all the character motivations were, and like every cinematographer was kind of empowered to make their own creative decisions about how to shoot it, the pacing, with some additional direction on top of that. But yeah, that was to me the great thing about the studio, was just empowering individuals to make their pacing and creative decisions and trying to reinforce what we wanted the episode to be. And then just like really the director and the designer's job was just to kind of make sure everyone was on the right track. But we had a really talented crew to work with. It's amazing.
Andrew, who was the director on this one? I'm sorry, I can't remember.
This Nick Herman. Nick Herman was
Nick. I thought so.
Yeah.
I thought so.
Yeah, that was a blessing too. I was like, even if I screwed up on the design of this episode, I knew that Nick Herman would take it over the line. It was in capable hands. Definitely did not have to worry. And then of course Gary Whitta did a great writing on this episode. So that was really helpful for me as a first-time designer. Like I knew that was taken care of.
I just want to say thank you so much to Scott and Jesse for the $100 donation. You guys are awesome. Every little bit helps, and especially these big amounts, so we really appreciate it for sure. Let's see. Oh, JDRF shared the image of the screenshot that y'all showed off. That first image looks real good. With Clementine and with them there in front of the motor inn.
In front of the motor inn, yeah. People were blown away. It was like, is that the game?
Whoa, that what's gonna look like? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's real important to gamers to know, like, wait, is this a cutscene or is this gameplay? Like, wait, like, how's it gonna look? Yeah, for sure. Let's see. Sorry if I skip any questions. I'll try not to. How did you get Gary Whitta involved? JDRF asks.
Yeah, I mean, you should elaborate.
I think that was when we started talking to Skybound. They said, "Hey, we've got a friend, would like to have him involved, and he's way into games." And I think, Gary had been, I think he'd already done Book of Eli, so he had the Hollywood experience. And before that, he was at a gamer mag. We knew he was a gamer. So DA and Robert asked that we have him involved, and we were like, awesome, that's cool. And and we gave him one episode, and he was able to work with Jake and Sean to keep it on target, to really, give it its own feel, but keep it right on target, and getting us a nice episode 4 that had a little bit of a different feel, but also was right in sync with the rest of the series. So yeah, that definitely was something, a suggestion from Robert and David, I believe. And
and I think to Gary's credit, I think like he had written, obviously he was a gamer, and he had written like some movie scripts, but as I recall, I don't think going into this he had really any professional experience in writing interactive dialogue, and that was like an intimidating thing to for him and me to like go into this like writing interactive dialogue, especially when you get to the end of the episode, and I'll talk about it when we get there, because it's really complex as like the amount of like different branching, different dialogue. But Gary, to his credit, like really took to it really quickly, and by the end of the project, by the end of development episode 4, like he was actively like in our engine, like writing dialogue with our interactive tools, and like he really able to do a great job with it. Big credit to him. He was a fast learner.
Good. I think this is going to be like last question, and then we'll start up the game. Who is y'all's favorite character from season 1?
Wow.
Can you have a favorite?
For me, I would say Kenny. I love Kenny.
Kenny's such a great
lot
character.
Because he reminded me a lot of another programmer who was at the company at the time, Randy Tudor. But just like I mean, his character definitely changed after season 1, as he should, because when you've been through some stuff, like it changes who you are. But in season 1, like I really still like he was a family man. He had his priorities, and I could understand his priorities. And to me, Kenny was just in season 1, at least, Kenny was just a guy that like I would want to have in my corner if I was in this situation.
Is this besides Lee and Clem?
Or you could cop out and say Lee and Clem.
Well, I mean, they kind of get the most screen time in the I'm trying to think of, besides Kenny, who actually makes it all the way through. I would probably agree with Andrew that Kenny got the most personality. I mean, he just got crafted so well, and the other characters that were getting similarly crafted, like Lily, and even Carly to some degree, Doug a little less so. Carly got a little more lines, but he didn't make it long enough, Sorry for the spoilers. But it's funny because I was going to say this earlier. What we learned by the time we were in episode 4 was that the characters that the player had gotten introduced to and had gotten to know over time, those characters meant a lot more to the player than someone that you said they had a relationship with. Like if you said, this guy was Lee's brother and Lee should feel bad because it's his brother, well, it's not the player's brother. But
Right.
If you say this is Lee's friend and it's Kenny, and something happens to Kenny, well, it's the player's friend too. And that was something that I felt like we figured out during season 1, and by 4, we were really, really into that element of role playing, which really makes this one pretty exceptional. So I guess that's the longer answer than your original question. I did like Carly too, because I saved her. She had the gun.
Right? We saved Doug this previous stream because chat threatened me. I didn't save Doug. And I saved Carly initially because I thought she had the gun and she could save both me and, Doug. But
I assume like they told you the backstory about Doug. Yes, I hope at least like the character where he was.
Based off of an actual person instead of Carly.
Yeah, he was based off our former IT guy. Like oh crumbs was a Doug expression. So internally in the studio, we always had a lot of affection for Doug.
Yeah, it was all Telltale team members that were like, you have to save Doug. Like, like Carly doesn't exist. Doug is real. Oh.
The old story, the story of the O Crumbs was our error 404 message for our website back in the day when it didn't come up. It said O Crumbs, and we actually won an award, an online development award for like best file not found error or something.
That's awesome.
So that was actually one of our first awards, and that was Doug's handiwork back in like 05 or 06 or something.
Oh, that's awesome. That's so great, because I mean, like, I loved, like, okay, so the first time I played through, I didn't really, like, connect with Doug super well, like, when I first met him, because at that moment, his only contribution was he, like, you know, worked a universal remote. It's like, I can do that, Doug, you know, calm down. Like, you're not that tech savvy. So to save him and then to see him like, I rigged up this alarm system, you know, I did that. I'm like, wow, like this is super helpful. Like I wish I had, you know, not judged you so quickly.
Yeah.
And of course Carly had the gun. So
yeah, there were a lot of Lee and Carly shippers.
I believe it. And Doug was just a cool guy.
He is a cool guy.
He is.
A cool guy.
Like I really grew to like him in season 2, you know, or episode 2 I should say. I was like, yeah, like I can really see why y'all like Doug. But totally had him killed my first playthrough.
I want to see I'm tempted now to try to pressure the real Doug to join me on your Saturday stream. I don't think he would do it, but I really wish he would.
Get Doug in here. That sounds good.
Because I think he's even got the shirt. He wears the shirt that Doug wears in The Walking Dead. He has that actual shirt.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I love it. All right. Well, I think let's see. I think we're ready to start the game if you guys are cool with that.
Sure.
And then
I'm just gonna plug in my phone.
Yeah, y'all can you know, stay on the mic as long as you want. You can go at any time if you need to. It'll just be my webcam, so you don't have to worry about that. And yeah, we'll get started on episode 4. Go ahead and go over real quick. So don't forget, guys, this is a charity live stream for JDRF. Of course, I'm your host, Calebrated Gamer. But of course Caleb is just fine. And we are about to play Season 1, Episode 4 of The Walking Dead. I don't know if you guys... Do y'all guys have the, I guess, stream up where y'all can see it? Or do I need to share footage?
I got it.
I've got it on my phone here.
Just let me know if you need me to shut up. If I start talking too much.
No, please, please. In fact, I found out pretty quickly when we were doing these streams, I had the game volume at a decent level where people could hear the characters. But people kept saying, turn the game down, we can't hear we can't hear the team talking. I'm like, all right. So it'll be fun. Yes, JDRF pointed out we've raised so far, you know, not just tonight, but this week basically, for our channel specifically, we've raised $4,220.
Yeah, congratulations.
That's awesome. Very excited. Thank y'all so much for all the donations that everyone's give. I think my friend Solar Zebras asked what I'm gonna do at the $5,000 mark. No judgment here, but I plan on getting a tattoo, and I've never had a tattoo before. But yeah.
Dude, the Twitch audience get to decide what your tattoo's gonna be.
No. It's not
You're not that committed.
No, I'm not that committed. No, so my best friend Blake, who I talked about earlier in the stream, passed away back in 2017 due to diabetic coma. His 2 favorite things in the world were The Walking Dead, which is why I already played a majority of this season 1, because I actually had a series of this game that I was playing with his little brother back when I used to do YouTube videos. So we were playing this because that's like his second favorite thing, but his top favorite thing of all time is Batman. And it's hard to see anyone looking at the webcam, and it's all worn out. Sorry that this thing's all worn. But our diabetic charity raising team, whenever we do marathons and such, is called Blake's Batman. And you can see his favorite color pink's there. It's a black wristband. A bird bit off part of the wristband while I was on vacation recently. And anyway, point is, I'm gonna get the Batman logo tattooed on my arm. A lot of his diabetic friends got similar tattoos way back in 2017 when he first passed away. And I've always wanted a tattoo, but I've always wanted it to have, great significance. So I thought if we reached the 5,000 mark, that would be a pretty cool thing I could do. So I'm excited for that.
Awesome.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah, thank y'all. Yes, Batman tattoo. I'm not taking suggestions in chat.
How far away are you?
So we're at the 4,220 mark.
Okay.
And we have tonight, and I'll be streaming tomorrow night and Saturday morning. So we should have time to get pretty close. If nothing else, I can donate, a decent amount of money to get us closer. So
I'll make it happen.
We'll figure it out.
all right, sounds good. Don't forget to donate, guys. But yes, welcome back, Free. Yes, and his third favorite thing was Taco Bell. I definitely agree with that, but I'm not getting a taco or the Taco Bell logo tattooed. But yeah, all right. So let's just jump in episode 4, Around Every Corner. I'm terrified. I remember feeling a lot of anger towards the voice on the walkie-talkie for talking to our Clem. So, and I still don't know who that voice is. I don't think. So,
Mhm.
so
I'm gonna have to watch on Saturday then.
right. Yeah, I think it's Saturday morning.
I've heard enough out of you, okay,
But we'll figure
Doug?
it out with JDRF.
What the fuck's the problem? No!
It's like the programmer in me still, like when it said like previous on The Walking Dead. I don't know. I was just like, oh, don't crash, please don't crash. It's like I was saying, I haven't played this like since beta, so I'm like, it's gonna be a lot of remembering.
What do we do?
Oh yeah.
You never played the released version, Andrew?
I don't think I did, but I do remember watching people live stream play it when it came out.
Really?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this was
If they're not.
took a lot out of us to work on these episodes. I think by the end of it, I was like, oh my god. Shout out to Jared Emerson Johnson in the chat who wrote the music for this. Is a great composer.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Clementine's theme is still amazing to me.
Can't wait for you to get to Savannah, Clementine.
Can't wait for you to get to Savannah, Clementine.
Be sure to find me when we
Oh, thank you so much for following. Should turn that alert down.
It's Mario. Mario's on the train.
Yeah. Mario's running alongside the train.
I'm kind of curious. You going into this episode, how do you feel about
I'm so
Kenny?
sorry. Good. Turn that off for the slight moment. What was the question?
I was kind of curious. You as playing this, like, how do you feel about Kenny going into this episode? It's like,
Oh
what
my
are your
gosh.
feelings about him?
Well, it was like night and day with Kenny, because like up until pretty much, a good chunk of episode 2 even, Kenny and Lee were pretty much like best bros. It was like, oh man, yeah, I'd punch this huge guy for you, Kenny, I got your back. So for him to be like this, I mean, starting to, not a drunken mess, but like for him to be such a mess, and for him to like want to fight Lee, and we ended up not fighting, which was crazy because I hadn't been able to avoid the fight the first time. But like, yeah, for him to just like, be the shell of a man, it was it's scary to see that night and day, because he is a good person to have on your side during these kind of moments. So for him to like not care at all, like, it was real startling for sure.
Yeah, to me, when I was designing the episode, like I would like do a breakdown of like every scene. It's like, okay, what's every character's like mental state going into the scene? And with Kenny, it was always just like Kenny is just freaking destroyed. like Kenny is ruined, and it was just like this episode. You'll see like Kenny's all about the boat. Like we need to find a boat. We need to get out of here. We need to find a boat because that's like the only thing he has going into this episode. Like that's all he's left to is like I got a plan. We're gonna do this plan because I don't have anything else. So
right.
Poor Kenny.
And answer the question in the chat. Omid, yeah, fell off the train bridge. Or the overpass, trying to knock him onto the train.
I'm telling you, he can't keep going like this.
Come on, I'll help you.
What the hell?
Ah, crap. The bell.
So dead after all.
Keep moving. No one's ringing that bell. It's automatic, on a timer. What kind of church bell goes off at 20 past the hour?
This was a good line that Gary Whitta wrote. I think when Lee looks at his watch and was like, "Well, that doesn't make sense. This bell shouldn't be ringing right now," because it kind of adds to the mystery of what the hell.
That's right. This place is alive in some way.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because again, like the idea for me of this episode was like it's a mystery where it's like, there's the voice on the walkie-talkie. It's like, is that the person ringing this bell? Who is this person?
Who is this? Is that you up in the bell tower?
It's like, are they doing it to help us? Are they trying to get us killed? Like, and The Walking Dead, of course, you have to worry about humans just as much, if not more so, than the zombies.
Not for whom the bell tolls.
So.
What are you yammering on about?
Yeah, I think Jake Rodkin and Sean Veneman had a good way of describing the zombies in the series, which is like, well, zombies are kind of like the weather. It's not like the focal point of the story. It's just like the thing that we all have to deal with. Oh, shout out to Keenan. Keenan did a great job working on this episode. And then Nick, of course, did a great job directing.
Nick Mastriani's here too, I think.
Yeah, he's here too. Yeah, it was also really important for us too to get Savannah right. Like we wanted to do a good job at representing Savannah, Georgia, and make it feel like it's its own place because Savannah has a very distinctive feel to it. So we wanted it to feel different than the other environments you visited in Walking Dead episode season 1. And thankfully we had a few team members who had lived in Savannah, so they were able to tell us if we were getting it right or wrong.
Yeah, that was one thing I remember was wanting to go to Savannah after this was done because everybody was always talking about how great it was when they were there because they went to the school there. I think Jolie went to the Jolie Mensa went to the School of Design. Yeah,
and there's Ben always screwing up again. Yeah, how did you feel about Ben coming into this episode?
Gosh dang Ben, I want to like Ben, I really do, but for him,
I will say Ben was the biggest design challenge going this episode. I'll elaborate more when we get to the end because Ben was it did not go the way I thought it was going to go. Like that was an interesting thing, like doing episodic design. Like you kind of anticipate how people are going to feel about a character coming into it. But Ben was a surprise for me, for people, based on our playtesting. So.
Oh yeah.
You can try to predict how people are going to react, but yeah.
And I, I'm the kind of guy that like I try not to hate any character. Like even what was his name? Larry. What was the big old guy? Got the cinder block dropped on his head.
Oh yeah, Larry.
Yeah. Trivia. Do you know who voiced Larry?
Oh.
The guy who voices Launchpad McQuack on DuckTales, Terry McGovern.
He was also, I believe, that's so cool.
Yeah, he was also the in Star Wars Episode 4. I believe he's the stormtrooper that says looks her droid. So I believe that's Terry McGovern.
Wow. See, I was a huge fan of DuckTales growing up, so when I heard that, I was like, oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, when I met Terry, he came into the studio one day. I lost my mind. I was like, "Oh my god, you have no idea."
Hey, Mr. McD.
Sweetest guy in the world, though. Super sweet guy.
I bet.
You're right. Jared corrects me. He said these are not the droids you're looking for. That was Terry. Yes.
Oh wow. That's awesome. Well, shoot, now we have to rewatch that and like. Oh, that's so cool.
You know, one thing that was cool about, you talk about Ben and wanting everyone to survive. One thing we found when we looked at choices on this was always that most people that played Walking Dead were trying to do the right thing. And I thought as a game, that was unique for this game, where you're not in there trying to destroy everything you see, but you're there trying to save everybody. And that was always something with Ben and all the characters, was you have to keep them alive no matter how much of a screw up they are. It was always the feedback we got.
I don't know if y'all saw in the chat, but Dennis is here.
I did. Shout out to Dennis. Dennis, great director, great cinematographer, did so much for this series, and even series beyond this one at Telltale. Great.
Time to kill
so
Ben.
good. Yeah.
I don't know what happened. I just froze up.
With Ben, like, okay, so like, I try to give every character the benefit of the doubt, unless they're like, truly evil. Like the brothers and the mom at the dairy farm, I was like immediately like, y'all are too nice. Like, like y'all skeeve me out. I don't like your weasel brother. But with Ben here, like, I think I still was like, he's really just a kid. I mean, he's in like, I think he's in high school, right? So, I mean, he's still just a teenager. So I was like, okay, I can understand. He doesn't understand the world. He's scared. But when he left Clem to die in that moment, I remember thinking like, oh, he's pretty much dead to me. Like.
Yeah, you represent the biggest headache for me going into this, like, because, yeah, like Dan said, I think, prior to this episode, when we think of gamers, we just think like, they're not going to care. They'll kill whoever. They don't really care. So coming to this episode, like, spoiler alert, there's like a big decision about Ben at the end of this episode. And I really thought that most people going into this episode were just going to not care about Ben and just be like, he's annoying, whatever, he can die, I don't care. But we found it was the opposite. It was like people like you that was like, well, I really want to do the right thing. And so I had to do a lot of extra work because like, at the end of each episode, we kind of present like these major tentpole choices, the statistics about like who did what. We always kind of aimed for it to be like a 50-50, right? Like 50% people did this or this. But with Ben, it was so like everyone just wanted to like keep Ben around because they didn't really like him, but they felt like, well, I don't want to kill this guy. So it was really hard for me to get the needle to move back a bit so that like some people would choose to maybe not keep him with the group. So that was really surprising to me, doing like playtesting on this episode and seeing how people react to it, is how many people were willing to keep Ben around in the group even though he was problematic, let's say.
Right. I think that's the like you're saying, it's so hard to gauge people's what the general fan base is going to think, and the stats at the end of every episode is a good indicator of that, because sometimes I'll choose something and I'll be like, how is this 50-50, man? Like, I can't understand how y'all would think that other option's okay, but clearly, like, like every choice is gray and people are able to have their own decisions about it, and
that would be a success metric for us. Was a 50-50 decision was like the best design we felt like we could do in a lot of cases. Like, we felt like that was a great choice if there was no clear-cut answer, and we made half the people think one way and half people play it one way and half the people play the other. And this game is full of 50-50 choices for sure. But we put a lot of work into making sure that they were 50-50 choices and balancing like that.
Right.
Something was buried here.
This sequence is kind of like the more puzzly. Like, this was still kind of like reflection of our adventure game roots to me in the early on in the season. It's very much like you're solving a problem and trying to investigate your environment to figure out the solution to the thing. and it was almost kind of, I don't want to say a relic, but it was kind of a reflection of Telltale prior to when we really found our voice with The Walking Dead.
Hey, be careful.
I think
Dead things isn't what it used to be, you know what I mean?
like some of the questions and interviews and stuff we did previously on the earlier episodes, I never noticed before how few puzzles this game has compared to the other Telltale games. Because, like, you know, obviously you want to find a good balance between
I can smell it from here.
not,
Gross.
you know, slowing down the story, not taking the player out of the drama too much, you know. I remember the train puzzle kind of standing out and being like, oh wow, like this is like legit puzzle, you know. I'm not trying to find the batteries for the radio. I'm like actually like taking the time to do this, which is so.
Yeah, I think it was interesting because episode 3 was very kind of literally on the rails. Like you were kind of going from a point A to point B with the story. With this episode, I definitely did want to kind of vary it up and have a lot more like free exploration. But yeah, like you said, the cost of that is like pacing. Whenever you kind of open the world up to have like a free roaming puzzle, like you really you take the pace from something high pace to something a little bit more mellow. So it's always kind of a balance to figure out where the best place was to put those free roaming moments and to not just wreck the momentum of the episode. I will say about this puzzle though, this puzzle is actually based on a true thing that happened to me. So I was living at a house at the time I was renting a house that had an automatic pet door in the backyard, and there was one day where I locked myself out of the house, and my wife was out of town or out of the country even, and the only way I could figure out to get in the house was we had this automatic pet door, and I figured like, oh, if it opens I can reach my hand up and unlock it from the inside, but the pet door would only open if our cat was nearby that had the collar with the RFID tag in it. So I had to go find the cat. Thankfully our cat was not dead. Our cat was very much alive, so I just grabbed our cat and held the cat up to the door so it would open so I could reach in and grab it. But I figured the dog being dead was a appropriate Walking Dead twist on it, which is like force you to do something horrible, which is like dig up the corpse of a dog, just to make you feel terrible.
The simple act of trying to get inside this house, like, oh yeah, you got to dig up this family's pet. The family's dead too. So or gone.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. It's a great puzzle, and it's also cool because there's a lot of storytelling that happens during the puzzle. But I think at this point in this part of Telltale's evolution, the idea that you're doing stuff that's actually real things that real people would do in this space, that aren't puzzles that are just made up to give you something to do, but are actual challenges and stay on theme the entire time and actually use logic, like a dead dog with a ID on it. That's really great because it gives you that time to explore. It gives you the time to tell the story in the space. And I didn't know that was a personal story, Andrew. That's a great puzzle.
Yeah, and like even like the environment artist, I think it might have been Nick or the environment artist put the portrait in the manner of like the family with the dog and the kid. So you're just like, oh, this is just like awful. Like all of this is terrible.
That's pro right there.
So both of you were keeping it from
So great. I'm so glad to hear that was based on a true story. Because I just remember the puzzle and thinking like, oh well, how am I gonna get this open? And then when I found the shovel, I'm like, oh, of course I'm gonna have to dig up the dog. You know, like, why did I expect anything else?
The fiction part of the story.
Why would they bring out the dead?
Yeah, it was really important to me too that it was like we did like you pull the collar off the head and the head just falls off of the dog. It's just like, let's just make this the worst possible thing you could do right now, other than getting eaten alive by zombies.
Right. They did warn us, didn't they? And of course it's like, you know, with it being a dog, like, you know, people are like, not the dog too, like, you know, like, we already had to watch a little boy basically turn. Why do we gotta watch the desecration of this grave?
all use a little time to rest up and gather our thoughts, Kenny. At least until those walkers.
Thank y'all. No recent donations, but thank y'all so much for everyone who has donated. In the chat, don't forget you can hit ! donate on there on the screen, and any amount you have to give to go to our $5,000 goal goes to help fight type 1 diabetes. So it's greatly appreciated.
All right, fine. You and me will take the upstairs. Lee, you've got down here.
Take this second to say hi to Freestyle the Gamer.
Aw.
Hey, Freestyle.
Since I know nothing about this game and don't have any questions, yes.
Can I help? What if
I'll also say hi, Free. It's one of my mods.
Why don't you just see if Kristen Omead needs
I remember, like, one of the big design challenges of this episode was, like, to give every character something to do. Like, the thing I didn't want was, like, to have characters kind of, like, just standing around, like, waiting for you to interact with them. Like, I wanted every character to kind of have a job and a thing that they were interested in and involved with. And, like, you were able to kind of, like, go and interact with people. But that was always the biggest challenge of this episode, was just having your crew feel like they were alive and actually doing stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Because if I'm sorry, go on.
Well, part of the challenge I remember in this too is we were thinking like, well, why wouldn't they just stay here? Like, why wouldn't they just be like, oh, we're finally in a cool, comfortable place. Let's just everybody sit down, right? So the characters have one motivation, and the players like you're trying to keep them busy, and because the player wants to do stuff. Of course, we took care of that. I think pretty soon.
Yeah.
It ends up being too good to be true.
Right.
This is another thing I wanted to is like when you go in the house, just to, again, like in the world of The Walking Dead, like everything sucks. So it's like you get in the house and you're looking for food, and like the only food in the kitchen is dog food.
I'm not that hungry. Besides, I need to finish checking
Oh, is that beef? More of a chicken guy myself. And that's
there's probably chicken in it.
Probably among a bunch of other things. That I don't know if I want to get into. Nick says this was my scene. Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Well, it's great. It's
a beautiful scene, Nick.
I was real stressed out about this house because I wasn't until Lee started whipping out a gun every time he'd like go to check a door. I'm like, oh crap, should I be stressed out? Like, should I be anxious?
Good, it worked. That was the goal.
Oh no, it did a great job because at first I'm like, okay, we're safe, and then he hovers his hand over the door and pulls out his Glock, and I'm just like, oh crap, now I'm on edge. I don't know what's about to pop out around this corner.
Just one more to check.
But welcome, Nub. Thank you for watching our stream.
Normally we would try to keep the player and Lee in the same headspace, but subtle things like that to let the player know that the angst is coming up is a nice tool.
It's good to I love that y'all were able to give Lee enough dialogue options that are still that give the player some freedom to like make their decision, but it's still all within the characteristics of the character Lee. So that way when Lee does like pull out his gun, it doesn't feel too out of the game's, like, it doesn't take you out of the moment because it's like Lee is still his own character. So it allows like you're saying, the player to kind of then align themselves with Lee's anxiety.
Yeah, that was always the biggest challenge, is like anytime Lee says anything or does anything, you wanted it to make sure that it wasn't something that the player wasn't also thinking about or feeling. That was always the biggest challenge, especially towards like the second act of this episode when Lee kind of has to make a plan. It's like you didn't want the character Lee to kind of put together this plan that the player wasn't necessarily thinking about either. Like at every dialogue tree with Lee was always like you had to think about like, okay, what's everything that the player could possibly be thinking about right now, and then give Lee an opportunity to express that.
We would feel
Oh,
like at
here
the
we
end of
go.
an episode, we would feel like it was a success if people described Lee as my Lee. You know, my Lee would never do that, or my Lee would do this.
Yeah, right.
Stay here.
Real quick, I'm super anxious about walking up these stairs, especially since I think the family is dead up here. Actually, I don't remember, but Nicholas donated $40. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Now up the stairs. Thanks, guys, for causing me so much anxiety.
Yeah, this is a great bit of tension here that was added after the design, just like the slow crawl up to the dread of going into the attic.
Yeah, and poor Kenny is like not in a good state of mind,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to finding a family's home.
Well, yeah, in this scene,
Jesus.
this was in the story before I was on the project. I think
Oh my god.
I think this came from Jake and Sean, because I think the goal kind of this is like it serves kind of two purposes. One is that it's a kind of reminder for Kenny of what Kenny's going through and like thinking about Duck and the sacrifice he had to make in the previous episode, but it's also about Clementine. Like for Lee, this is kind of a moment where he's thinking about when he found Clementine in the treehouse and thinking about like, if I hadn't found Clementine in the treehouse, this might have been Clementine. She might have been up in that treehouse and dead like this kid is. So it kind of serves both purposes.
Couldn't do it before. Can't do it now.
Yeah, this is awful. And this kid like obviously like starved to death and then became a zombie. So like just terrible way to go.
Yeah, I think Sean Vanneman had a great note from me about the scene, which was like, I think originally the decision in the scene was like, do you put this kid out of his misery or do you make Kenny do it? And then I think Sean had the great insight. It was like, well, you need to add another option. It was like, as the player, you can just walk away and you can just, and you can just leave the attic if you want to. You can walk down the stairs and basically like, I don't want to deal with this. And
Right.
which case, Crystal, I don't remember who it was. Somebody would come in and say like, well, if you're not going to deal with this, then I'm going to deal with it. But I thought that was a great insight from Sean. He was like, yeah, most people probably aren't going to walk away, but I want to support that path for people who do choose to, I just don't want to deal with this, and to empower them to be able to make that decision if they want to.
Yeah, and Lee just said the line about like, you know, this would have been Clementine if I hadn't found her. And,
Okay.
Which is good because like I personally was like more focused on Duck when I first saw this scene. I was like, oh crap, like that really is a spitting image of Duck. But then when the show that Lee also understands the gravity from his own side, you know, it's real nice. What should I do, guys? Take the train pick, my boot, or the gun?
Walk away.
Or you can walk away.
I can
That's
walk
another
away.
option.
Walk away.
You can.
I can walk away. Did I walk away? I'm so used to like being the one to like help people. Like, you know, I offered to like shoot that one person in the motor inn. Thank y'all, all of the new followers. Y'all are so kind. I keep having to cut off the alert because there's no way for me to turn its volume down without also turning down everybody. Shoot him, leave it alone. Doesn't do anything. Okay, well, I'll just walk away. Surely he won't eat our brains. Empty water bottle, empty plate, empty bed. Give the gun to Kenny? No, that's a terrible idea.
Man, let's just go.
Yeah, not to get too dark, but I guess that's what the series is. People have asked me before, it's like, oh, was it fun to work on The Walking Dead? I'm like, I always remember this being because like I had to like Google image search images of like emaciated children to give to our concept artist, and it was like not a fun day. But it was like, you know, you wanted it to be real, and you wanted it to look real and to be heart wrenching, and like the reality's brutal. So
yeah, and that's the thing.
Like that was,
I think for everything, when you're working on it, it was like at least it's the death means something. At least there's emotion in the game. At least we're creating a feeling of caring for even the zombie. You know, you're doing it out of caring versus just out of because it's fun to step on its head or crush it. It kind of flips games on their head in that way. You know, it was always the way I felt better about it anyway. At the end of going through the trauma. Oh my gosh, he's carrying him out.
Oh.
Yeah.
You made me do the burial.
Yeah, and I did this. I designed this before I even had it. Before I was a parent. I don't know how it would even be now. I'd be like, oh god.
Yeah, and when I first played through, I put him out of his misery because I was like, all right, well, I'm the only one that's gonna do it. I didn't even think about her doing it. But yeah, just real depressing. And
next time you know from Nick that the foot is the best choice.
Foot is the best choice.
The quote unquote best choice, right?
Is that similar?
But he's with this dog now. Like it's kind of sweet in a way, tragic, but you know.
I know, it's great.
And this was always, I think, the I don't want to call it a crutch, but it was like an easy thing for us to do, which is like anytime as Lee you were having to do something kind of horrific, to, you know, just cut to Clementine kind of watching you do something.
Yes.
Not really having her comment on it, but just seeing her watching you.
Oh yeah.
I think it always made things so much harder.
Oh yeah, and with my I don't have any kids myself, but I do have nieces and nephews, and yeah, there's Clementine right there. And I mean, I know just from experience how smart kids are and how much they absorb specifically.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they take everything in. So for her to be basically there watching every one of Lee's mistakes, you know, when I think Lee said the S word, you know, in episode 1, so she repeats it to Katja in the barn. You know, it smells like shit. And they're like, oh, like, oh, I don't know where she learned that from. It's stuff like that.
Yeah.
Where,
but it's like intense here because like she's basically looking at what could have been her fate, and I think she kind of knows that on some level.
Oh, hi, guy, outside the gate.
Oh, I forgot about that.
I forgot about that.
That's creepy.
Hey!
I forgot about that too.
Who are you? What the hell do you want from us?
It's my Lucky Charms.
What's going on?
I remember we had a lot of debate too. Like, sorry to give spoilers, but like I think there was some debate with Nick, the director, and the choreographer of the scene, is like if that was actually the person on the walkie-talkie or if it was
it a man or a woman?
possibly someone else who you're going to meet later. I don't think I ever had an answer for that. I think it was always kind of like, I don't know. Could be either.
Do we ever know?
I think it's kind of up to your own interpretation.
Probably the detailed question would be what skeleton did we use and what was the which actual character was it?
Yeah, right. which rig and which mesh, you know.
I don't like this one bit. Not one bit.
Me either. Walkers are one thing, but the thought of someone out there actually
I love too that the fog kind of slowly is creeping in and into this environment as you go on.
That was one of my favorite things to see was like the changing of the lighting and such, what like for when they're at the dairy farm and it goes slowly from morning to night for you to see like the lighting changes like with the sunset and all that. It was real neat. for sure.
Search it if you want
It was a big challenge too with this episode because normally, well, at least at the time at Telltale when we were making new episodes, like adding new environments to an episode was like a really expensive thing. Like you were kind of, in terms of budget and time, we were limited on like how many new environments we could have per episode. But here it was like really important to us that we wanted Savannah to feel big, and so it was a really hard balance of like figuring out like how can we get these environments to feel really massive, but also stay under budget. Because we didn't want to have it to where you got to Savannah and you like stayed in like one room for the whole time. We really wanted you to feel like this is a big city. So that was definitely a challenge. But to our producers' credit and our team, they figured out a way for us to get in a lot of really big environments and also some creative reuse. I'll talk about later when we get there.
Sometimes we all have to put aside what we want for the
Yeah, this one had that challenge throughout of making it feel really large and making it feel really large, like a city.
Gonna go grab my
Sure,
gear,
yeah.
then we'll head out.
Come on, Clem. Let's go see if Omid needs anything.
So you're just.
And yeah, every location so far, besides I guess the dairy farm, has been pretty much closed off. You know, I mean, like the motor inn, you know, you're safe in the confines of the walls. Even when you were in town, you mostly just stayed in the pharmacy, you know. So to have these open shots of like, you know, these really nice tall brick walls with these really nice trees, but like for the roads just keep going. It really does stand out in my mind as like a whole new location for sure. It also made me want to visit Savannah at some point in time.
I've still not been like, I think my research for this episode was like I watched I think Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil, which is a movie that takes place in Savannah. I think that was like, and then just like Google image searching like Savannah and River Street, which is where this is. Also kind of the when we get here to River Street, I think the inspiration was I don't know if you've seen The Wire, but I think for some reason a lot of us at Telltale at the time were watching The Wire or rewatching The Wire, which is kind of why Lee looks like Stringer Bell, who's the character in The Wire. But The Wire has kind of this town called Amsterdam, which is like a town that they basically just like let rampant drug use go, and it's like this boarded up town. So that was kind of the inspiration for how this area of Savannah looked, like a lot of boarded up, and also Hurricane Katrina and the boarded up, you know, and the symbols spray painted on the doors is very much inspired by like Hurricane Katrina.
Oh yeah.
You sure, man? I mean,
River's right up
And
ahead.
shoot, like we wouldn't realize, you know, in 2020 that we'd be quarantining and
Bastard's fucking with us again. It's another trap.
Yeah, I think about that frequently when I take my walks through. I'm just like, oh my god, this is so...
kind of crazy. You never know what's gonna happen.
It's come full circle, that's for sure.
Yeah. This is back in the day when your entertainment provided your anxiety.
Yeah.
Right. You're like, haha, this is funny because it's not like reality. Okay, there goes the zombies.
The person ringing that bell might be doing us
The walkers.
Whatever, man.
I think one character in this game said the word zombies, and it confused me, and I wasn't sure. I think someone had told me that people have used the word zombies in the show. I'm not sure. I've never seen the show.
Yeah, it was a conscious decision we made, because especially in this episode, when you meet people that you haven't met during the apocalypse or the zombie apocalypse, so we figured like every person that you ran into would have a different word for it. So somebody would say like, "Oh, they're zombies," and then when you meet Molly, who's coming up soon, I think she refers to them as geeks. Like that's her term for it, because like every individual pocket of people like has their own way of describing what these things are.
Was Rotters one that we wanted to use on this one too? Because with Gary coming from Rotters,
I don't remember. Probably, yeah.
I don't forget if that was this or season 2 where we had a group that called them Rotters.
I think it's interesting, yeah, because I remember when I first heard of The Walking Dead, and I heard the show and how they usually call them walkers. And I was like, walkers, that's interesting. Like, why not zombies? It's like, oh, well, I mean, they amble around, they walk. Like, you know, what else are you gonna call them? Like, all right, like, yeah, you know, that makes sense. If I didn't already have a word for it, you know, I would try to give it some word. So it's cool to see different groups coming up with different terminologies.
I'll check it out. You look further along
This boat is totally trash.
Thank
you so much for the new follows.
We don't have to. See that
This is another example of like
all the way along the waterfront from
we had a free roam moment where Lee, as a player, Lee is able to walk around and do stuff, but we wanted Kenny to kind of have something to do. So I gave Kenny the job of like he's inspecting the boat, trying to figure out if he can repair it while Lee's allowed to go off and explore, and do his thing.
Yeah, and Kenny.
Like, only if I had my toolbox.
Yeah, right.
I hate this wall of the dead.
Yeah, that was when we started to layer in the mystery of like what the hell is this wall about and why is that going on? And I remember when Gary Whitta wrote the script and he sent it to Robert Kirkman to review, and I think Kirkman was like, damn it, like he's like, I just wrote one of the books where there's a wall of like dead zombies and you beat me to it.
Something like this.
All right.
Good.
I do remember this was like one of the ones where it was the wall of zombies sounded amazing on the paper, but then when we sat down to build it, it was like, oh my god, how are we gonna make it seem like it's a wall made of all zombies? And finally figured out something, but it was that was a huge challenge.
Yeah, and it's basically just a warning to people. It's like, stay out of here. It's not, this didn't happen by accident. This was like built by people who are warning you, like, don't come any further.
Yeah, for sure. Welcome back, Jake. I see you in the chat.
Hey, Jake.
Hi, Jake.
Good to have you here.
They're all over the place.
Yeah, and these markings were definitely inspired by Katrina. So it's like as FEMA would search different properties ravaged by Hurricane Katrina, they would kind of spray paint markings on the outside of the building to say like how many people were found alive, how many people were found dead, the initials of the person who searched the place. So I incorporated that into this because I figured this Crawford civilization has done a methodical job of like searching the city of Savannah and just looting it and saying, these are how many alive people we found, these are how many walkers we found, and this is how many walkers we killed, and these are how many citizens we found here that aren't really eligible to be invited into our society and therefore had to be, killed or excommunicated or something.
Order.
Yeah, bash that thing.
We don't need.
Yeah, and again, this is kind of like this is a bit of a callback to the adventure game past of Telltale. And I think kind of as the company went on, I think we did things like this kind of fewer and fewer because you're right, it is a pacing kind of decision. But here it seems appropriate, like it's a slower paced moment in the episode, so we allow you to kind of walk around, check things out.
Yeah, and it's another thing with a lot of great environmental storytelling in it. I think we put so much effort into creating this area, the zombie wall and everything in all the broken down area that we wanted to kind of let people learn by checking out the environment. So it does that really well.
Abandoned, like every other place in this city. No way that one's salvageable. What the hell?
Oh yeah. I thought this person with basically like a rock climbing tool and doing like parkour to get around. I was like, yeah, like I would not be able to do that in the zombie apocalypse, but that would be very useful, needless to say.
Yeah, we definitely wanted to build in. Again, it's kind of to me, it's a mystery episode. So we kind of want you to think like, oh, is this the person on the walkie-talkie? Does this person trying to harm us? Like, what's going on? So it's kind of fun to play that mystery out.
Just another scavenger like us. Yeah, and maybe he ain't. Maybe he's that fucker on the radio's been messing with Clementine's head. Don't you want to?
It's almost like we needed to replenish the characters.
Okay, you head down the street.
You know,
I'll go around the side, cover your
between Katya and everyone else. Lily and Carly and all right, rest in peace, all of them.
Here goes Kenny.
I remember there's a lot more game design originally done here. Like there was a mechanic for sneaking up, but I think in terms of pacing, it just felt wrong. It just felt like, yeah, we just want to get to the person, so we don't want to draw it out too much more.
Right. Oh crap.
Oh snap!
Oh, wait. I pressed the wrong button. Loves.
I love that prompt was really hard to hit because you can stop her from attacking you, but most people don't.
Right.
Because it's a reflection of like, yeah, in reality, like she probably would get the best of you.
Yeah, she totally got the drop on Lee.
I remember this was like a big conversation we had in the design review of this episode. It was like, we were like, would it be realistic for Clementine to get all the way here by herself without anybody else? But to me, it was important because she's starting to kind of assert her independence. And she's starting to kind of break away from the group and do her own thing. And that was kind of the motif I wanted to go for this episode, which is like, because spoiler alert, in episode 5, it doesn't end so well for Lee. So the idea that like Clementine starts to need to be a little bit more independent. And
right.
This was kind of one of the early opportunities to get her that dependent kind of mindset.
Yeah. I remember being shocked when I saw Clementine. I was like, wait, who was she with? I don't understand how she get here. Like, holy crap, she got here by herself. Like, I don't even
The
know.
bigger question is like, why did Krista and Omid and Ben allow her to leave
right,
the house? Like, no one's looking for her? Like, what's going on? I think that was like one of the biggest conversations we had. I was like, why would this happen? Like, why would anybody let her go? It's like,
I'm
don't worry
going
about
out for a minute. All right, honey. You know, be back soon.
Yeah, old responsible Ben, right? He'd definitely be the sitter you
Wow. Yeah.
Good old Ben. Just another
We
notch.
we can always blame Ben every time anything goes wrong. It's Ben's fault.
What a Ben moment. Apparently Crawford is not the place you want to be.
When everything started going to shit, some people got together and sealed off that whole neighborhood. Folks willing to do anything to stay alive, stop the dead getting in. I try to avoid them.
Why?
Let's just say they have a zero-tolerance policy for anyone who won't or can't live by their rules.
So how'd you know we weren't them?
Because there are no children in Crawford. Not anymore.
No children.
This was like a big I think this was like one of the biggest uncertainties for me in this episode, and thankfully Gary did a really good job writing it, because you're kind of like, will the audience and the players buy the premise that a sort of town in this, or a civilization in this town, would not allow children? Because it's a very short-sighted decision.
Oh yeah.
but you know, but it was kind of helpful to point to like things in the past in history, to where it's like, well, yeah, like things actually like this have happened before, but I was always a little worried that people would kind of buy into the premise of this.
Right.
Yeah, you know, like at the carnival.
There always was kind of the deranged leader that lost his mind element going on.
Well, and I think we're seeing it unfortunately now play out, which is like when a crisis happens, like people tend to make really short-sighted decisions or very political decisions. And yeah.
Well, Mead started getting really sick. Krista and Ben had to take him upstairs. I didn't just want to sit around there.
And I think also, you know, obviously the big thing here is like, when you learn about Crawford and the fact that like they don't allow children, they view them as a burden, and they will like excommunicate them and basically leave them to die, that when Lee's hearing about all this, he's thinking about Clementine.
What do you mean, no children? Why not?
No children, no elderly, no one with an advanced.
And now when she said no elderly, I was like, man, that's sick, but like at the same time, like, you know, no children seems kind of crazy, because it's like, how are you going to, you know, continue to survive? You know, how are you gonna like keep the legacy going, whatever. But when they're like, they killed off the elderly, it's like, wow, that's really messed up. But like, I wonder at what point would you have to do something similar to that to stay alive, you know? I don't know.
Yeah, the really early version of this design, Molly's backstory was a little different, and that like her backstory was that she was kind of living and scavenging, but she had her grandfather was kind of holed up somewhere in the city, and her grandfather had had kidney dialysis, so her grandfather was like on this dialysis machine, and she was looking for like basically like batteries to keep this dialysis machine going to keep her grandfather alive. I think that ended up being like just too much story. But I always thought that was kind of fed into the elderly thing of Crawford, which is like she was very protective of her grandfather because she knew that if the civilization found her grandfather, they would just off him because he's a resource drain.
Hoping to get our people out of here, find someplace safe.
Jake points out that Molly is Aaron Yvette, who's also Snow, right? Was this her first gig on a Telltale game?
I think it might have been, yeah. Yeah, she went on to do a lot of roles for Telltale, but I think this might have been her first.
She really owns the character, that's for sure.
Yeah, Molly actually, honestly, was like a little bit of a divisive character within the studio. I think some people really liked her, and some people were not that big of a fan of her. But in the world of Walking Dead, like anything divisive is good, I guess.
Well, she had the superhero kind of quality going on, and everybody else is so real. And she's like hardcore parkour lady that totally can beat anybody. She's definitely. She's like our most kind of superhero. Whoa, there she goes.
I know, right? Yeah, I think some people thought like, she's too cool for school. I think somebody said to me verbatim. But then like we would hire after The Walking Dead was a success and people went to work for Telltale. I remember some people coming in and telling us that like, oh, Molly was like my favorite character. So I was like, okay, yeah.
Yeah, you never know.
You never know. It's fine. Everyone can have their own representation.
Oh yeah.
It's all good. Yeah, it was fun here to try to figure out a way to get Lee separated from the group.
Oh man, Kenny, you've dropped me before.
He's trying. Kenny's trying. He's trying.
And again.
Oh no.
I was like, Kenny. This didn't work well last time. Yeah, Molly would have let us die if it weren't for Clem being there.
Yeah.
Oh, this is the sewer. Okay, this is coming back to me now. Sorry about that.
I remember. I only remember this part is because where I left off was in the sewers, basically. So I'm pretty much getting to the point where I had played to previously. I had found. I'm not gonna spoil anyone who hasn't played this game, seen this game yet, but I had found the people that were either down here or like it led to them, and then that was just about where I left off. So we're getting pretty close.
Clementine, can you hear me? If you can hear me, just get back to the house, okay? I'll meet you
Clementine. I love him. I love him so much.
Shit.
So for like Clementine to not even be here in this moment is like, oh man. I hope she's okay.
Yeah, I mean, again, that was kind of part of the goal of this episode was like to start to separate you a bit from Clementine because Lee ain't gonna be around that much longer. So Clementine starts to need to, you know, establish her own independence to be separate. And
right.
It's like, you know, any parent, you got to start to let your child go.
No way I can pry that open.
And know that they're going to be all right.
Which is why I love the train part where you start, you cut her hair and you just start to work with her on the gun, and it's like you kind of resent Chuck for being like, she's not prepared for this world. She's gonna get herself killed. And it's like you watch her mouth, like she'll live forever. But then when he makes the point, he's like, no, she's like not ready for this. It's like, okay, yeah, like something needs to be done. I think we're about to come up to some combos.
Yeah, I remember the thing about this puzzle was, oddly enough, the implementation of this puzzle was inspired by Mega Man 2.
Really?
Dennis, who's in the chat, is a great director, had a great insight into this puzzle, which I think he realized when he was playing Mega Man 2 that that game kind of forecasts everything that's going to happen to Mega Man before it actually happens. Like, if you go into a new screen, you'll see a platform drop out before you actually get to that part. So you know that, like, oh, if I jump on a platform like that, it's going to drop out.
Right.
So his suggestion was like, well, we need to see like the cause and effect. We need to see that like the zombies are drawn to a specific noise to give you the idea that like, oh, that's what I need to do. So I just thought it was funny that we were able to use Mega Man 2 as a design inspiration here.
Oh, that's so great. That's awesome. Yeah, you're so right. I love the old Mega Man games, and a lot of it was just paying attention to what's happening.
Yeah, they're great. They're, design of those. It's the best kind of design where like you don't even really notice what it's doing until you sit down and think about it.
Pay attention. Yeah. We can all learn from Mega Man 2.
That's how I live my life.
Yeah. If it didn't happen in Mega Man 2, it's not good enough for me, I was terrible with old Mega Man games as a kid. I don't remember.
They're still hard. Oh, no, they're really hard.
I don't remember which one I owned on the Game Boy, but it was a little too challenging for me.
So this is the thing here. You're turning it. You're seeing the water come out. You're seeing that zombie like going towards the water, which hopefully makes you think like, if I do the same thing over there, they'll go over there, and then I can get around them. So thank you, Mega Man 2.
Yeah.
And thank you, Dennis, for the suggestion.
Hopefully that's an eye shot. Okay.
And again, like this is one of those things where like pacing wise it's pretty slow, but I think it's appropriate to let you take a breath kind of.
Oh yeah.
We also wanted you to be really creeped out, like in the sewers with all the sounds and everything. I'm underneath the city in the sewer with a bunch of zombies. We really wanted to make it tense,
Oh, and there's Chuck.
Just revealed that Chuck was the one being the all-you-can-eat buffet.
Yeah, I remember trying to figure out like how much we wanted to keep Chuck around in this episode, but I think this was kind of the right decision. Chuck kind of went out as a hero. He was like batting off zombies in the streets above, and then
he gave them the time to get out of there and.
Yeah, I don't think we ever discussed a path where Chuck could possibly live. But what a way to go out.
He must have tried to hide out.
Yeah, God.
Or Chuck, like entrails all over the ground.
Bullets. Just to save the last one for himself.
Oh, he killed himself?
You deserve
or no?
No, you're right. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
I think we were hoping that would make it a little less horrible. It's like, well, he didn't suffer.
Remember we had a big talk about Chuck kind of being the one most prepared for this world, right? Because he had lived as a hobo, so he was a little bit more ready for the end times.
No, don't shoot. Okay, well, I didn't mean to do that, but God damn it.
It's...
That alerted the walkers.
I mean, it's kind of like in reality, right? Like if you're in that moment, you have to make a split decision. Like you might make the worst decision, which
I think
is like
I just died.
No, it's all right. You still got it, I think.
Boom. Okay, that's fine. Here we go.
You got time. You can do it. You can do it. You can do it. Ah, there you go.
Let's slow walk out of here.
No way I could pick that up on my own.
Well, no, because now they're all coming for you because they heard the gunshot.
Ah, crap.
This, I admit, I could not figure out how to design my way out of this. So thank you to Nick Herman who figured this out, how to do this. Like trying to try to propel himself off the wall, which makes the sign go crooked, which reveals the entrance.
Super clever.
I could not figure this out.
That's awesome because he learned it from Molly, right?
Right.
Yeah, yeah. That's what was what was great about it. I was like, man, I should have just taken credit for that. It's too smart.
You should have been like, oh no, this was a real stroke of genius on my
part. That was all me. Yeah.
Because it's not too late.
It is that Lee is lovable loser kind of thing too, right? Where he kind of goofs his way to survival every now and then. It's like he does something dumb, but he's
like, right.
Yeah, but like he's a normal person. It's like if you put me in a sewer with a like a wall and a ladder to seal, like I guess I would probably just be dead.
Like he thinks about it. Oh crap. Even pauses before he does the jump because he's like, I don't think I'm gonna make this. But he's like, you know.
So I'll say a little bit about this environment because in the original design, I think this took place somewhere else. But because we needed so many environments and we didn't have a lot of budget and time, the original prototype of The Walking Dead before it went into production had this environment. It was a morgue, and there was like this, I think, hopefully one day Jake and Sean will talk more about this if they haven't already. But the original prototype demo proof of concept took place in a morgue, and you were there with a pregnant woman who was giving birth on the table in this morgue, and the zombies were like coming through the door. And so it was a great scene, but it just didn't really fit with the series once we decided what we were doing. But I remembered that morgue, so when we got to this episode, and we're like, we don't have an environment for this. I was like, we gotta dig up that morgue. And it was just like the beautiful irony of like, these are cancer survivors who are living in a morgue in a hospital. Like, it just seemed like very poetic or something.
Right.
I think you're a good man.
Keep back, or I swear I'll shoot.
All right, fella. Okay. Okay.
I told you he's lying. He is one of them.
Dan, do you remember the backstory of Bree behind?
Oh.
Do you remember like her backstory?
Wait.
I don't remember the backstory of Bree.
I don't know if I should give it away, but she. Oh yeah. Yeah.
The game. Okay, so I started to take the gun and I got shot in the head. But then the scene continued as if I.
You found a bug. Oh my god! I gotta fix it.
If y'all want another bug, I found. Not to out y'all.
I'll get red on that.
Okay, yeah. Just patch before the end of the stream if you could. But there was another moment that happened to me previously where I was talking to Doug outside of the pharmacy, in that little cage area, and we're talking about the TV, and Lee says something along the lines of, well, we can use this remote I found. And I was like, where did I find a remote? Like, I don't remember finding a remote anywhere. I guess he just had it on him. Like, I don't understand. But then I would find it later in the office area. And I don't know what I do to trigger that, but
yeah, maybe
there could have been 2 remotes.
True. Yeah, I was like,
that was probably our.
I totally was fine with it.
When we closed it.
I didn't think anything of it. I was like, oh yeah, he found a remote, like whatever.
Can we still patch this, Dan?
Vernon, what the hell are you doing?
No, I'm going with it. There were 2 remotes, and you just didn't realize it was in your pocket from the house.
So weird. The game just continued the option for me.
You're really
as if I.
But
I'm really not.
Huh.
Well.
Yeah, Bree. So anyway, I don't know if I should be talking about this, but I'll do anyway. So Bree, this character here in kind of the leather jacket with long brown hair, she was actually a contest winner. So I remember when the first episode came out, we kind of had a contest. It was like if you won the contest, you got your likeness in the game. So she won the contest. Her name wasn't Bree. I don't remember what her name was, but so we used her likeness in the game. I felt a little guilty because depending on your choices as a character, Bree ends up being really kind of cool or really awful. So I was like, oh, and then she doesn't make it to the end of this episode. So I just felt a little. I hope she didn't take offense to it.
I don't think she ever complained. Oh my god, I remember that though.
And I love this visual of like them sleeping on the beds that are in the morgue.
Yeah, they pulled out the.
Like, it's like, this is what this world is.
Runs all over the city. It'll take you wherever you want to go.
That weird.
Those sewers are like a damn maze.
I mean, I've never seen that bug before, so
I'd like to help.
What bug? What are you talking about?
Yeah,
there's no bugs.
Didn't you just get killed?
No, I'm just talking about some like insect, like like.
Besides, why
actual
should we
bugs.
help you?
We can help you. We have medicine.
Look, I'm sorry if I scared you. I just want to get back to my people.
I try to be pretty honest during my playthroughs.
I mean, I think that was like the biggest surprise for us because, like, like I said, going into this, like, you just assume like, gamers are just gonna make really awful decisions and just like be really callous towards everybody. But no, we found that most people actually were really kind and responsible.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a fantasy where you can be the best person you could possibly be in a zombie apocalypse, and feel proud of yourself for making good decisions and being nice to people.
Yeah.
Well, and it's like the impossible thing to know, which I always wondered, is like if people would make anywhere near the kinds of decisions that they made if Clementine wasn't in the game.
Oh, yeah.
Wow, right, that's a good point.
Mm. Yeah, the guys that we were talking to previously, like Jake and all them, they were pointing out that, like, Clementine was a great anchor, because it's like, why wouldn't Lee go on his own? Like, he seems pretty capable. Why?
Yeah.
Like, why would he take the time to be slowed down by, this random guy with a bad leg and, this guy with a kid and that's been bit by a zombie. And of course, like, that connection to Clementine, it's like, hell. Obviously, I take care of her.
To me, it shows, I hope, that, most people are, decent people. They want to make the right decisions.
Well, and the setup of him at the very beginning where he's being brought off to prison and you don't really know why, really sets up the redemption story and early suspicion of not letting anybody know that, and all that stuff that carried for a long time really set Lee up as someone that was, needed Clem to redeem himself or whatever it was that was getting him carted off to prison in the first place, which you kind of forget about, but it sets the season up amazingly. So, Chuck and Jake and Sean did a great job with that.
We have a man wounded.
Who's this?
This is Vernon. He's a doctor.
Krista was a hard character to write for this episode, and I think I kind of blame myself because I think the first version we had of this game, I think Krista was not very likable because her primary concern was about Omid, and so she would get pretty angry and get pretty frustrated with you as the player. But I think some of the feedback we got from people in the studio was just like, she just comes off as really like kind of bitchy and awful. So we definitely made a attempt on recording new lines to kind of humanize her a bit more and take some of the edge off her a little bit. Because it's understandable. It's like, this is the guy she loves, and like she's going to be concerned at most with his well-being, so she's going to do what she's got to do. But it's a balance of like, you don't want her to be too like angry.
Clementine, you in here?
Yeah, because even though characters have, like, they're fleshed out characters, so obviously they can't all happy all the time, or they can't be sad all the time. But like you said, it's nice to have those moments of like, this moment's kind of a slowdown from the zombies. Like, you know, this moment for her is like kind of a change of pace from her being so mad at everything, you know, all the way up to this point.
Yeah, and I'm appreciative that we worked with the crew that we did, because people on the team were not afraid to kind of raise their voice and concern, to be like, Chris is kind of awful in this episode. I don't like her. It's like that feedback was really valuable, because they're right. Like
there's so much stress in the game in general when you're with the group that you're kind of getting to know and be friends with. It always kind of if one of them's causing you stress inside of the group, you don't have that little safe place to go and just kind of enjoy being in the game and enjoy meeting the other characters and being with, you know, having that part of the experience, which was part of the role-playing experience.
I want to say real quick, thank you to all the new followers. I have no idea why y'all are following me, but I appreciate it.
They like what you do, man. Just take it.
Yeah, you're good.
Thank you. I also want to take a moment to talk about JDRF, because it's been a minute. And I still take this slow down time since I'm not being chased by zombies. So JDRF, of course, is the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation. One of the leading researchers in finding a cure for type 1 diabetes. All money donated tonight goes to help find a cure to help fight type 1 diabetes. It's in the chat right now. It's on screen. All you have to do is type in !donate, and there'll be the link there. So far, this week, our group has raised $4,260 towards our $5,000 goal. Initially, it was a $400 goal. So obviously, like, you know, times 10 is way better, but hopefully we can reach that new goal of 5,000. And then I want to say, I'm going to see if I can pull up real quick what JDRF has as a total. I
think it was 41 when we started.
Yeah, it's they currently have I don't know if this is updated. It says 41,711. But either way, like 41K, that's amazing. And all you guys that have been watching and chatting, and of course all the wonderful Telltale team members who have been able to chat with us about the games. We couldn't do it without all y'all. So thank you to everyone involved for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Caleb, can I add one thing about what JDRF uses the money for?
Yes, please. I'd love to hear
a big part of what this Game2Give, the initiative that Game2Give has been supporting, and there's a lot that needs to be supported at JDRF now with everything that's going on with COVID and everything else. But one of the key things that we've been helping work on is a center of excellence, which is a combination between the research team at Stanford, who works on the immune system and figuring out ways to get the immune system to. It's from a team that used to work on leukemia, so they were about figuring out how to get the immune system to accept transfusions of marrow. They've moved over onto the diabetes team.
Wow.
But one of their daughters has type 1, and the doctor wanted to put his attention on that. And he works with the UCSF team, where they're working on creating beta cells, which they create from stem cells, which are the cells that create the insulin.
Wow.
And they'll give you a little packet and put it into your body.
Wow.
The problem is those beta cells, because with diabetes, the immune system is attacking your insulin-producing cells. That's one of the big problems. You have to fix that or you can't do anything. So the San Francisco team really needs the Stanford team. And in traditional kind of financing of this type of research, it's not, those crews they get their funding from different places, so they don't really talk. So in this case, when the people from UCSF are trying to work on something in the beta cells, they can ask the people who work with the immune system how to do it in a way that makes sense, so the immune system will accept the beta cells. So we're trying to help finance this and keep this this research going on. And if this was to work, if we were to make progress here, it'd be not just great for diabetes, but for any disease related to the autoimmune system. So it's amazing. And as a game developer, my whole career, listening to the scientists talk about having the beta cells talk to the immune system and figure out the ways to integrate the two together into a cure, it's really exciting, and it feels possible and close. And a lot of people that we talk to who have diabetes are always saying, well, people have always been said the cure is just on the horizon. But with the technology that has moved at the speed that it's moved at this point and gotten us, and the way that it's been moving and the amount of progress that they've made, it really is, you can look at it and see, okay, this is real. This is something that's totally possible. So that's part of what the Game2Give group is focusing on keeping funded and trying to find this cure and keeping those brilliant scientists working on solving that problem.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. I didn't know exactly what the money going towards, so that's really cool to hear for sure.
That's exciting.
Yeah, definitely. I got to learn a little bit about like different diseases of sorts when I interned at St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. I live pretty close to their main location, and like, so to hear like their strives in that, and to hear like the JDRF strives towards this, like it's really neat. It fills you with hope, for better lives for future generations, which is real nice.
Yeah, and you can get depressed about what's going on in the world, but there's so much progress, in so many ways that have helped so many people. It's pretty amazing if you can keep your eyes focused on that to some degree too.
Yeah, right. It really depends on like what you allow to what you are looking into, because if you're just focused on the news, just focus on major media, you're gonna get a lot of those negative news, which is important to know for sure, but it's nice to also learn of all the positive in our current day and time.
Well said. Yeah.
Well, thank you guys. I appreciate you guys being here and talking with us about this game. I'm scared but excited to see how it's going to turn out.
What are you doing?
Just poking around.
Yeah, this one is definitely. I love the ending on this one, so I'm trying to stay shut up, but I do love the ending.
Clementine?
Don't ask me.
Yeah, and I honestly,
Do I look like I'm in the mood to be jerked
I'm
around?
pretty much spoiled to the main endings, like just because of the internet and the box art for season 2 not containing certain characters, and like stuff like that. Obviously, like I can infer enough, but I don't know how things will play out. I don't know when they'll play out. I don't know to what degree or how it happens. So, still excited to continue in this. Yeah, what all happens.
Molly?
It's
this
hard
is again the design challenge, like trying to get every character doing something in the house and not just kind of like waiting around for you to talk to them.
Right.
But everyone has their own kind of like what they're looking for and what they want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's important, especially for the zombie apocalypse, where you aren't just staring at a character thinking like, why are they wasting our time? Like, why are they even here?
Clementine?
But everyone's got their own little role, which is nice. Oh, shoot. Thought I...
Clementine! Come out, please!
Yeah, again, shout out to Jared on the music. It's always good when Jared writes stuff here.
I'm sorry if the game is too turned down. I honestly don't know what the volume level's like for people watching. Oh.
Oh, hey, you made it back. Good
Kenny's
job.
feeling a little bit
job.
better.
What the hell do you think
No, he's
way.
What does it look like?
Yeah, because basically, like, you know,
Found.
it's like at this point he's lost his son, he's lost his wife. All he had was this like boat, and then he's like, well, the boat's not happening either, so I'm just gonna sit here and get drunk. Because like, what else do you do in this situation?
He won't listen to you.
Right.
You think he was gonna listen to me?
Like basically everything that he said is the way to go has just blown up in his face.
Getting wasted's not gonna help anyone.
Yeah? Well, what is?
And unfortunately, unfortunately, I have some friends who
Molly said there's not a
turned you know, coping mechanisms like alcohol when they're depressed. So obviously, like for Kenny to go through so much within the last basically week, like is insane. So I definitely feel bad for him because he's still Kenny. Hard to watch.
Clementine, where are you?
I like how Ben's even like, no, I'm not gonna partake.
Let's see. I hope she's not outside. I'm checking every door before I go looking for her out there. He drew a picture of Lee burying the dog, which was bad. Or no, burying the kid. I'm sorry.
I forgot about that.
The
too,
child
yeah,
and
yeah.
the dog.
Clementine.
Yeah, I think I don't know who added that. I didn't. That wasn't the original design, but that was a great little touch.
Oh yeah, for her to not only be watching and observing, but to see a very visual representation of. Oh no, she took that whole scene.
Okay, I gotta talk about this trophy. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is a stupid anecdote that no one's going to find amusing but me. So I thought that I had been really clever in naming that achievement of Bedside Manor because it's like a pun, right? So when the game got translated into French, I noticed that they had translated that as mention de bedside. So the lesson I learned was that don't write a pun into your episode because when it gets translated to another language, puns don't come across.
Right. That's so great. Because I don't even think about that, you know? Like, you're like, haha, this is so clever. But obviously, if you're making an international game, you're going to run into issues like that.
Yeah, words to live by. You're lucky if the translator knows enough English to get it's a pun and choose one in its own language that is similar to the same pun. But I think this game was in like 8 languages, so I don't know what the Polish Bedside Manor is.
Yeah, but it was at the time the director of design was Dave Grossman, who worked on like the Monkey Island games and Day of the Tentacle. And yeah, after he saw that, he was like, yeah, don't ever write a pun. Like, don't do that. It's like, you may think it's clever at the time and funny, but then when it gets translated, you're going to hate yourself. And he was right.
Yay! I got goosebumps.
Yeah, Kenny sobers up real quick here. He's like, oh, yeah.
Hey, oh, that's what I'm talking about.
And it's funny, too. Oh, it's not funny, but it's like kind of tragic to me about this with Kenny, where it's just like, I don't think the boat even really matters to Kenny. It's just a thing. It's like a thing that he can accomplish.
Yes.
Because he has control over nothing else.
And for so long, it made so much sense. And at this point, it doesn't. I mean, it may not even make any more sense than anything else to use this boat. But like, he's been holding on to it for so long.
It's taking Kenny so damn long.
It's great.
Yeah, I almost want to see a version of the series that ends with like Kenny actually getting on the boat and then realizing like, well, now what?
Yeah.
Your friend really can get that
Like,
boat
wait.
working.
I do remember some conversations like that, and it might have been season 2 conversations when it was like he's been out on the boat and he's come back. He's been out on a boat and he's come back or something like that. But I thought we talked about what would that be like if we actually had a little bit on the boat of them going out to sea. But I can't remember what phase it was.
Good news is, the boat's seaworthy enough. In pretty good shape, mostly.
This news is the bad news.
I like that choice. Like, the good news is the bad news.
Yeah.
It's an obvious player choice.
Right.
What do you want to hear?
Okay, so what about Crawford? Oh man, I don't want to do that.
See what we can find.
Yeah, and this was like a really interesting design challenge because I think the initial design I had was like the other characters kind of came up with the idea of like, well, let's go to Crawford, let's get out there. But it's like you really want Lee to make that decision or Lee to suggest that because Lee is the representation of the player, and you want the player to feel like I'm coming up with this plan. So it was really tricky to write the scene so that it is Lee kind of making the yes, we're doing this, or no. And Gary Whitta did a great job writing that.
They don't exactly welcome children with open arms either.
What the hell kind of a place are we talking about here?
The worst kind? But I don't see what other choice we have.
And just how exactly do you figure we do this?
Chris is like, what kind of place is this? What the hell?
Exactly friendly to outsiders.
Again?
There's got to be some way we can sneak in there undetected.
Yeah, and again, as the player, you're kind of getting to choose the tactic that you want to do, even though if it ultimately doesn't go that way,
right.
At least you feel like you were empowered to like. Yeah, actually. Because that's life, right? You make your decision about what you're going to do, and then when you get there, you might find out it's not going to go down that way.
Yeah, like hindsight's always 20/20, but you know, unless you're replaying the game, there's nothing you can do about your previous decision.
Grab what we need and get out before they even knew what hit them.
That's actually not the worst idea I've ever heard. I mean, it's close.
All right, let's raid these suckers.
Maybe it could work.
I've thought about it before, just never had the people to do it. But I think if we all work together, we could pull it off.
And what do you want in return for all this?
And I haven't even been inside Crawford yet, but for
they're also well stocked with medical supplies.
But for them to be like, you know, these people are terrible, but we can properly raid them, then it'll help all of us.
So,
like, okay.
It's decided then? We're going to Crawford?
Anyone else have a problem with this plan? Because we're gonna need every one of us to pull this off.
Man, I don't know.
Change my mind said, genuine question, how often do you guys playtest a build?
I will say for this season, or at least for this episode, we only did one playtest. But like Dan said, we had a table read. I think we like rented out a room at a local hotel or like a conference room, and we all went and kind of did a table read and like went over the script and identified some of the pacing issues and like the logical questions. And then once the episode was playable, we did one playtest with people that we kind of invited over to the office and gave them like pizza and let them play the game and got their feedback. And that's kind of when you know, a lot of my assumptions about Ben as a character and how the player would make decisions about Ben were proven like incredibly wrong because every playtester did not respond the way I anticipated.
Right.
I mean, that's the great thing about playtests is like, you know, you think you know how somebody's going to respond to a decision, but like, unless you get actual people doing it, it really surprised me. But so yeah, it was great to have like our one big playtest, and then of course we get like feedback from people within the studio playing it and telling me, you know, their thoughts and, you know, like, oh, Kristen's too mean, she's too annoying, and like dialing all that in. So it's like even though we only had one official playtest, it was always a process.
It was a lot more organic in that day too, where our playtest group was kind of friends and family, and it ended up being mostly the same people every time. So they were playing the series as consumers, so they had all these built-in relationships with the characters, and we could really count on them. You know, we could really count on them understanding where it was going, what we were trying to do, how it had developed. So that was a really great group that worked with us on Walking Dead season 1. I remember Arthur's wife. I can't remember her name for now, but she was in every one, and she was always like, had such a way of thinking about her relationships with each of the characters that she'd really give it to you in detail about why she was making each decision. So we had a really great like core group of 10 friends and family that came in and did at least one on every episode. Later, when Telltale got older, we would do more professional ones, but in this day, it was a much more of a friends and family group.
Oh, I remember the specific choice dragging this timer out long because
that was a long timer.
I mean, especially like now, especially now. I mean, I remember thinking then as a designer, but now I'm thinking as a parent, giving the choice of like, you're gonna go to this town that will kill children. Like, do you choose to leave her behind or do you bring her with you? And now as a parent, I'm just like, I don't know. I don't know what I would pick. That's a tough one.
I sat there. I was hoping someone in the chat would say something. The bot said it a little too late, but I was like, no, I gotta leave her. Like, I can't risk.
Hatchet, hacksaw, some other
I don't think I could. Yeah, I don't think I could leave her. There's like too many bad things that can happen. You know.
What's up?
Yeah, for sure.
She's a 30-footer.
So
we're gonna have a capacity problem.
Oh, I forgot about this part.
Size ain't gonna hold more than 5 people, even with one of them a kid.
Very, very well written by Gary to set up the problem here.
Assuming everyone makes it back alive, that's still one too many. Even if we cut Molly loose, before this is over, we're gonna have to make a decision.
Yeah, not serious.
Look, I'm just saying, if we want the best chance of...
Do you get it? You're gonna have to choose. You're gonna make some really crappy decisions.
Oh.
She can help us.
Oh, and here's Bree.
Help us how?
Bree, why are you here?
School where Crawford keeps their supplies. I know the layout.
With her help, we're in and out faster. Anyone have a problem with that?
I guess not.
Sophie got the amount of family time she had.
Let's leave. Well, shoot, we need to leave 2 people, right? At least that's the child and the elderly. So, Lee and Clem, the doctor.
I mean, that to me is like makes the decision harder because it's like everybody in the group is like, well, no, I'm not staying behind. I'm going to go with you. So you're just like, okay, well, now I have to decide. You're just going to stay in this house like by yourself.
Right.
Like, that is even worse.
You'll be fine here.
Yeah, just like lock the doors.
Oh, jeez. I don't know what to do for this option. Tell her to run and hide or give her a gun. What do you guys think?
I'm surprised we didn't add a timer here, but I think it's just because we didn't know what the default would be if you chose nothing. I think we kind of, this is one of the few moments where we forced you to make a choice before time runs out.
Yes, give her a gun. I mean, we've taught her how to shoot. We know that so far in a crisis, wasn't able to, but give her the gun. You won't regret it. So far, 2 votes for give her the gun. I don't like how you said you won't regret it. ...
I bet you back in the day when you didn't know there were like 4 more seasons with Clementine in them, this was a much harder decision.
Oh yeah, like if I was playing this just as season 1, I'd be like, well, crap, I don't want to get this little girl killed. You know, I'll give her the gun.
Yeah.
I want you to take this.
That was my favorite. I mean, that was like the best thing about working on this thing episodic was like as episodes came out, the feedback that we would hear a lot is like, if anything happens to Clementine, I'm gonna lose my shit. And it's like,
you are not allowed to kill her off.
Yeah, right. That was great though. It was like that's the reaction we wanted.
Yeah.
Oh.
Love her so much. I'd kill everyone in this group for her. Oh, thanks, Ben.
Let's get this over with.
You're helpful there.
It's like,
I'm helping. I can't help, man. Like, Ben even let her escape the house. He let Kenny get the alcohol. He is a wet, like, blanket. I don't know, not whip.
I cut Ben some slack though, because he's like what 17 years old.
Yeah,
it's like
he's
come on.
Gotta be 16, 17, and I remember, I mean, that was just, I'm not that old. I'm almost 27 now. But like 10 years ago, I didn't know a clue about what I was doing. And I was also in the marching band.
As was I. Yeah.
So I was like, I understand his dorky, I don't really know the real world that well. Sheltered little high schooler boy. Guys,
Andrew, he's
ever
playing right into your design trap.
Oh, sorry, what?
What? You disappointed?
I just mentioned that everything you're saying is just playing right into Andrew's design trap. For Ben.
All part of the plan. We never did. No, I don't think we ever considered mod support because I don't even know how you would do that. It's a story-based game, so it's like, how do you mod a story? Yeah, that would be an interesting design challenge. I don't know how you would mod a story game. I don't know. I'm sure at some point maybe somebody will do it.
I don't know.
They'll fix that. They'll fix that bug that you just found.
What the fuck?
Yeah. Oh, okay. Never mind. I'm good, buddy. I don't know if y'all can say anything about other games. Free asked, would it be too off topic to ask about Minecraft story mode? Probably so.
What the fuck is a worker doing?
No. I mean, a lot of the same crew worked on Minecraft story mode. So
Yeah.
you got a specific question I can probably answer, or I'll try to.
Yeah, I'll say I've never played that game personally, but I know Freeze drilled into Minecraft, so I'm sure he's played it through. We're just Last City.
Random bit of trivia here. I don't think anyone found this, but the name of the school is it's a Catholic school. It's like Saint Felicity School, and Saint Felicity is the patron saint of dead children. So, just random factoid there.
Wait, what was it called?
Saint Felicity's is the name of the school. Saint Felicity is the patron saint of dead children.
Oh wow!
Right, all the levels. It's like an onion, many layers.
Why would they name their school that? That's awful.
The school was actually based on the school my wife taught at the time. She taught at a school. It used to be a Catholic church and was renovated as a school. So that's why it has a Catholic name, and it's kind of laid out the way it is.
I agree. So long as we don't let them box us in, we can still do this. The plan hasn't changed. The plan hasn't changed. Every time walkers show up, the plan.
I guess
someone slapped Ben.
Yeah. I guess we've determined that there's a lot less Crawford people to deal with and a lot more walkers to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, I think I know which way to head.
It's interesting because that everyone has been so scared of Crawford and their basically impenetrable fortress, their do or die attitude. They didn't even check on them to see if they were still alive.
Yeah, there was definitely a storytelling subversion there, where it's you think it's going to be one thing, but it isn't. And then the other thing that I liked about this was that there is another mystery here of what exactly happened to Crawford and how did it go down exactly. And if you as a player don't really care about that, you can choose to kind of not explore that. But if you do care about it, there's things in the environment that will kind of lead you down the narrative of what happened to Crawford and how did it fall exactly.
Looks okay. Everybody in.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
All right, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say this was another really hard design challenge with this part of the game, because it was every character has their own mission. It's go get a boat, go get a battery, go get gasoline, and it was kind of tricky to balance it because you want the player actively involved in all of these kind of side quests, but you also wanted each character to take the initiative. No, we're gonna go do this. But ultimately, you as the player are involved in each one of these in one way or the other. So you're not really passive. You're not just these characters aren't solving the problems for you. You're involved in solving each one of these challenges.
Right. Hard to find that.
And again, this classroom was almost directly inspired by my wife's classroom teaching at the time.
Awesome. Definitely got that vibe of like, like, oh, we got a little theme, like here we go, all these little drawings and pictures all over the class.
From the playground here. If they were storing fuel, that's probably where it'll be.
Any idea where we could find a battery?
Now we're looking for fuel, battery, and medicine.
Shop. There used to be one in the alley outside the fire escape.
And you end up helping in each one of them.
What about the medicine?
Right here, nurse's station. They were using.
And again, this is the challenge because it was like we wanted Savannah to feel big and we wanted Crawford to feel big, but we only had so much environment we could do. So trying to make it feel like a big place, but you're only seeing like these certain areas. And making it make logical sense why some of these areas are quarantined off and you can only get to certain parts and not other parts without making the world feel too constrained.
Right.
We might need to shoot our way out of here.
I'll go for the medicine.
I'll come with you. I know what to take.
And again, it's like giving every character something to do here.
I'll go with you.
They all have their own motivations and their own priorities.
Everyone be careful. Stay close to one another.
Right.
We'll all meet back here. Good luck.
Remember, the larger backstory in this was going to be a bigger part of the missions, and we were going to try to explain it more. But as we kind of cut back, we kind of told a little bit less of what happened. But I think we still get the basic idea across.
I love that shot. I wish I remember who choreographed that shot, but that was great.
The door closing.
Yeah, Lee in silhouette.
Right. Creepy.
Might come back for these later. Any reading material would be nice once we get on that boat.
And I did love, like, I don't know, it just seemed like this was a good opportunity to kind of like, again, like pacing wise, like take it down a bit so you can like go and talk to each character and just kind of get a sense of like where their head's at. Like, what are you thinking about? Like, what's going on with you? And like,
who's ready for the boat?
Right.
The person
who's ready to join you on there's only so much room on the boat.
Mm-hmm.
That's what
I still have the piece of notepad paper where I sketched this out for the artist to put in the game.
Awesome. I knew it meant something. It's just like, what could possibly?
Yeah, but I mean, that's what I liked about it, was just like, if you want to know what that means, you can find it. If you don't care, then you can skip over it. It doesn't really matter. But
right, you're still gonna get to the end of episode 5 without it. But I like it. I like learn what's going on. Reason. Principles of Crawford. All illnesses and medical conditions must be disclosed to the council. Children under 14 not admitted without authorization. Anyone asked to leave Crawford cannot return under any circumstances. Theft, looting within the district will not be tolerated. Waste not. Make the most of your... I guess they kind of just lived in the school, right?
Must be the guy who ran this.
Yeah, it's kind of like a town square. Like the way Savannah is laid out, like there's like individual like kind of town squares, and so the kind of the idea was like they just like found this little square of the city that they just like sectioned off for themselves, and they have like a school and an auto body shop and like not much else.
You coming or not?
Fully new territory. Bloody locker.
I don't know the combination to any of these.
So remember that name.
Yeah? Should I?
If you want to.
Logan.
It's again one of those, it's story element that if you want to know more about it, it's there. If you don't
Right.
care, then you can just ignore it.
Must be the door to the alleyway.
Gotcha.
The auto shop is. But where the hell is Molly?
Ollie. Dang, it's so crazy to get here and for Crawford to be all emptied out. Or at least this.
Guess I'm not going that way.
I really was expecting more of the, you know, like when we had to deal with the thieves at the motor inn and, it, you know, the shootout brought on the walkers. You know, I expected a lot more of that.
Auto shop must be down this way.
I think it's
whoa,
interesting.
Whoa, what was that? Is that Molly? See that?
Oh, yeah. That was a good touch by the director, Nick Herman.
I hate, oh man, I play a lot of horror games. So all of my instincts immediately was like, the character didn't see it, the character didn't see it, abort. Like, you know, great.
Which is interesting because it's like, you know, you as a player have access to information that Lee doesn't have.
Yes.
It's always a it's always a tricky balance.
Right. Great idea. Sure, why not? Parkour.
Must be the entrance.
I don't know how Lee expects to get back on the other side of the barbed wire, but more power to him. Be a terrible ending.
Damn.
Hide on this side of the barbed wire fence. Didn't think I could climb it.
Yeah, that was the original ending. Didn't play test well, so
Yeah.
we changed it.
That's bad ending 3, I believe.
3 of, yeah.
Bad ending.
Better not get too close.
Yeah, if we let you die everywhere, you should die for making a bad decision. The game would end up many times.
Hi, Pug. Thank you so much for following. Oh, crap. What just happened now?
Leave him! He's mine.
What?
What were you doing up there?
Who is she? Yep. Walker?
Molly? Molly!
What?
Hey.
I think you got it.
One more.
He's wearing medical scrubs. Some kind of scientist.
Coolly.
Doctor, maybe?
Yeah. A lot of aggression to get out.
No.
Dang. Stop kicking it.
I wonder why.
Oh.
Yeah, but the garage.
Look, she was like rocking the the face mask before
Yep.
the unfortunate times that we're living in.
Oh.
Not a problem.
Dang.
Look what I found.
And it's interesting because, like,
oh yeah, that'll work.
I don't know. It's like she's like the only character I've seen wearing a face mask. Because as far as everyone's concerned, like, this isn't an infectious airborne disease. It's something everyone is dealing with. You know, like everyone has it. You know, no need to protect your breathing from it. Kind of mentality. You know.
Right, but they wouldn't know that.
Right.
Come on.
Or at least she wouldn't know it.
True. Yeah. Like if it weren't for us dealing with the guy who came back to life in the pickup truck scene back in the motor inn, and Ben being like, "Oh yeah, like, you know, everyone, you know, comes back." It's like, what?
That was one of the funner things of the series was there weren't necessarily everybody in the characters were all learning about the world, so you could do all kinds of things that they didn't necessarily understand yet.
Right. Especially since I never like seen The Walking Dead before this game, and I never read the comic and that sort of thing. So like, I didn't quite know the zombie rules. So usually it's like, oh, you're fine unless you're bitten. You know, like, oh, you're fine unless you're infected. Whatever. So for them to be like, nope, like, if you die, you're coming back as that thing unless your head is basically disconnected from your body or your brain has taken like a major hit. It's just like, ah, man. Then all of a sudden it's like, I don't want to turn into one of those things, you know?
Looks like it's the hose for the lift hydraulics.
And we're looking for a battery.
It's locked. No way in.
Again, this is like very kind of adventure gamey puzzle.
Uh-huh.
Showing off their roots at Telltale.
I can't reach it up
Too bad
there.
Sam and Max aren't here. Rubber chicken or
Oh, they would fix things.
I think they'd survive the apocalypse just fine.
They did turn into zombies that one episode. So.
Oh yeah, I guess they didn't survive.
Don't think I can pry that hose apart with just my hands. Maybe if I had something to cut it with.
The rock climbing tool.
Something you need?
What was all that about back there?
Yeah, I want to figure out
He came
that
at me up
walker
on that
shoot.
rooftop. Tried to take a bite out of me, so I took care of business. What, you got a problem with me killing geeks?
Oh yeah, to answer that question, are they in the same universe or not? They are in the same universe because I know, at least initially, part of the challenge with working with The Walking Dead and with Robert Kirkman and the Skybound crew was like we had to make sure that our episodes couldn't, the timeline of our episodes could never go beyond what had been done in the comics. So we're definitely in that world.
I know, I know you didn't really see the first few episodes of this game, but some of the characters in the game are also characters in the show because, you know, they're from the comic.
I can borrow that hook thing of yours?
I thought that was really
I don't know.
like someone in the chat was like, oh yeah, that character, you know, is in the show. It's like, oh, that's neat.
Don't judge.
Yeah, and Skybound was really great about, you know, we would have to submit our scripts for approval, and they were always just like, yeah,
right,
it's good.
I got your promise.
That was one of the things. That was a big thing that not having anyone from the show at the time. There's a lot of conversation about getting Rick or not, or whether Lee should be Rick or if Rick should be the character. And we walked away from. That just didn't make sense for either group because we wanted the freedom to do our own stuff. But we definitely wanted tie-in with the show and that was something that we could agree on because that was something that Skybound controlled. So anyone that was in the comic we could have, and if they're in the show too, that was a bonus.
Yeah, and it also meant that it was challenging. Like anytime we ever kind of started to think about like, oh, we could like go forward in the future and see Clementine as an adult, but it was like we didn't want the timeline to go beyond what had been done in the comics either. We don't know what that world looks like in 30 years or whatever.
Put it in here. I'll carry it. Okay, follow me.
Yo, follow you.
Move your ass.
No problem.
Yep. Do that thing. Rock the boat to rock the boat, baby.
I'm surprised Molly can carry that car battery.
Yeah, like that thick old battery.
Shoot it out.
Yeah, and she's like, put it in my backpack. It's like, are you sure? Like, you're about to do some major parkour moves.
She's a strong, capable lady.
Yeah. Watch her pull me up way easier than Kenny ever pulled me up.
Okay, so
I'm not upset.
Wow, no sweat.
Come on.
Okay, well, we got the battery. Good.
Mission 1 of 3 accomplished.
Right.
Jump.
Oof.
I don't know.
Okay, this is great. Loving it.
But
she's caught me every time. Not bitter towards Kenny
Oh,
at
you
all.
got it. Good job.
Thank you. I'm usually pretty good at the QuickTime events. I played a lot of
Later.
Until Dawn which do y'all know that game?
A little bit, yeah.
Horror game follows a story. Obviously, like, you know, this isn't a horror game in that sense, but got a ton of quick time events. So, a lot of quick time events that you could easily characters following. So, it got me used.
You guys need any help?
Getting used to pressing PlayStation buttons quick enough.
Care of it, Lee. Don't worry.
Have the battery.
They're working at the medicine.
Okay. Maybe Ben's had any luck. Don't forget, guys, any donations go to JDRF to help fight type 1 diabetes. Wait, what's happening? Oh, okay. Oh, donations are so good.
Doors won't close all the way.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
Yeah, there was originally a sequence I designed here where you had to like chop off the hands of the zombies that were reaching through the door in order to get the door shut. But then I think Jake Rocken and Sean Benjamin had a similar idea for episode 5, so we decided to wait and do that there.
You got the fuel. Let's not start high-fiving each other just yet. Let's get the hell back to the
Okay.
class.
Battery, fuel.
They weigh a goddamn ton.
I love that line. Let's not start high-fiving each other just yet.
I mean, he's right.
That's why I like Kenny. Kenny cuts you down. He's like, no.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We still got work to do.
Don't be too optimistic.
Here, let me give you a hand. Did you get that battery yet?
And of course, Kenny at first was like, you know, like, of course we're gonna make it. We have to make it. But, you know, he's still got that kind of mentality of like, it's this or nothing. But now it's like, it's not because of family. It's like,
yeah.
He is.
Well, and here you can see more reflection of what I was trying to do, which is like pair Ben and Kenny up together as much as possible, because Ben internally is feeling like a lot of guilt because he feels a little responsible for what happened to Doug and Katya, but he can't really explain to Kenny why. So the more I could kind of put those two characters together, there's like a sense of, you know, tension.
But what has she done for me lately?
At some point, the truth's going to come out, and it's not going to go well.
No, wait. There is something you can help me with. Something that's been on my mind. I could use your opinion.
Shut up, Ben.
What is it?
It's
I won't give you my opinion.
Since I've been helping him work on the boat, I've gotten to know him a little better. He's a good guy, you know? And it's eating me up.
I love too, like, this just is a great opportunity as a player to get to express, like, Ben's like, thinking about telling Kenny, like, I'm basically responsible for the death of his wife and child. And you as a player can be like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, no, don't, not right now. Why would you say that to him?
Yeah, this
or
is
like,
a terrible time to bring that up.
But it's like, you know, he's a 17-year-old kid. Like, and then like, he's like, in my mind, like, Ben is so consumed with guilt here. He's just like, I just need to like get this off my chest. And you're just like, no, not right now.
Yeah. Hey, Benny boy, maybe hold off on because Kenny is this close to getting into that armory.
Mm-hmm.
Gonna use it on you, man.
Real bad. Hey, maybe you're okay walking around with somebody's blood on your hands, but that's not.
This is classic.
I can't just pretend it never.
You can feel like you're in Lee's shoes here. Just like you know, you're not going to do that, right? But you can't stop him from doing what he thinks he's got to do, no matter what.
Oh yeah. That's what That's what I like about, you know, all the characters being so defined in like what they think and what they do, because like at the end of the day, you try to make yourself the leader, or the group kind of tries to make you the leader, but people are still gonna do whatever their characters are gonna drive them to do. It's just your job to try to hopefully help them make the best decision.
Well, it's like Dan said, you know, we had conversations about like, you know, my Lee did this or my Lee did this. And it's like, you as the player get to decide like what's more important to you. It's like getting out of here and making sure Clementine's safe, or do you want everybody in the group to have kind of a good resolution to their conflicts?
Oh,
but
yes, I agree. I wasn't saying no crap to you, but I didn't realize there
oh
were
yeah,
a bunch of walkers outside of the. Oh man, this is awful. Guess I start shooting.
Oh, I remember this.
That's fun.
Gonna aim for the head.
Yeah, this is a fun one.
Okay, there you go.
The simultaneous turnaround. They look like a dance troupe.
All right, guys, you've been training for this. Filler. I'm not a zombie. You heard gunshots. Okay. But I'm also not with Crawford, so thank you for not shooting me.
I think they must have heard us rooting around in here.
I think it was like this is like one of those design questions. It was just like, I think somebody asked early on. I was like, well, how did they get in the room, and then the zombies got outside? And I was like, hey, don't worry about it.
I think we wanted the shooting. I think we wanted the little shooting range bit. It was like, figure it out.
Yeah, we were just trying to vary up the gameplay mechanic as much as we could.
Right.
Maybe with enough time, but I don't know how much.
I think in my mind, like they opened the door, saw like a crap ton of zombies in there, ran away, and then circled back around and somehow got like cornered in that room.
Made some noise in there.
But I mean, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. It's like we're telling a story, so it doesn't. Specifics are less relevant than the emotional impact.
Right.
Yeah, we were in a writer's room on a different thing with the Skybound guys, and their thing was always, don't let the logic train derail. Don't let the logic derail the fun train. I think was what they used to say.
Okay. Yeah.
I forgot about that. That was a good life lesson there.
And free. No, I'm not doing any channel rewards right now. I've got channel rewards that like I have to talk ASMR for 10 minutes, or like, you know, they have me sing a song, you know, stuff like that.
How do you talk ASMR? What is that?
Like? You know, ASMR, the you know, it's just I whisper into a mic for 10. Not fun. That's Freesley's favorite, so he wouldn't do that one. Okay, so hopefully there's a combination here.
Not working.
Time.
What is this? A copy machine. With no power.
No power to the
Take time to rest later, I think.
Oh, sonogram.
What's this on the floor?
It's a sonogram.
Always go in the extra level.
Yeah, like they couldn't just, you know, especially since it's like a nurse's station in a school. The first thing I thought is like, oh, we'll probably find medicine there. I was like, what are you gonna find? Like bandages and like rubbing alcohol? Like what?
Pepto-Bismol.
I don't want to necessarily shoot the safe, but
do you think shooting it open would work?
Only thing that would accomplish is getting us all killed.
Yeah.
So no, I don't.
Oh, maybe if we watch the camcorder, we'll see someone putting in the lock.
I like where your head's at.
Are we gonna see also the
Krista,
like the birth of the kid that ends up being killed or whatever? I don't know what to expect, man.
You know, you're coming around. You're thinking about it in the Walking Dead way, but you're close, but not quite.
Oh.
Oberson has ordered me to keep records of all medical.
Hey, I saw the sonogram. I just.
Dr. Logan.
Brace yourself, Anna.
Oh, this is
Confirms that you're pregnant.
Oh God! Oh God! Oh God!
Who also bears a resemblance to the zombie that Molly beat the hell out of in the alley. So.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But you gave me something for it and it went away. This is my problem, not yours.
If Oberson finds out that I concealed evidence of a pregnancy, I'm sorry, but these are the rules. I'm going to give you a
time for me to
make the procedure easier on you.
I don't want
load some bullets into the gun. Take 2 of these.
Oh my God!
In the morning.
Anna,
I forgot Oberson was the name of the leader of Crawford. This was the name of my somebody I used to know.
Did you come up with that name, Andrew? You used your.
Did you
I
dislike
did,
this
yeah.
Uberson person, or?
Yeah.
There you go.
Damn it, we almost had it.
What the hell kind of place?
I better
is
stop
this?
this camcorder before I put in the locker combination.
I remember Gary Whitta had actually like a different. He pitched a different version of this storyline that I actually thought was kind of interesting, which is like the idea of like, somebody getting pregnant in this world and that the baby dies in the womb. And in the world of The Walking Dead, it's like, what does that mean? Is that baby now a zombie?
Oh yeah.
So he kind of had this idea of like doing kind of an almost alien plot line.
Oh geez.
I remember that.
Yeah, which really, I think, it was a good idea. I think it was just like Jake and Sean were kind of like, that's not really where we want the series to go. But I always thought that would have been a good storyline for something else. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the problem. It's like it's such a great idea, but like
it didn't quite fit here.
Yeah. You had to like, oh man, are we ready to take it to that place?
I think it was also like we weren't sure in the rules of the Walking Dead universe if that was like possible. Yeah, so it just felt better to not try to push that.
Wait, there's an off-screen gunshot? I did not hear an off-screen gunshot. Is that what you guys heard? Oh, okay. There's a zombie in here. Great. TV? So that's Wish. I don't even know if I'm really supposed to be over here. I was trying to find the doctor's body. Find anything.
No, you're right on.
Okay. Hey, buddy. How's it going? What's up, Stumpy?
This Molly did not do as good of a job as she thought she did.
Yeah, I mean, the way she was picking at him, I could have sworn she would have done a better job, but...
Yeah, I think we justified it by saying, like, maybe she wasn't aware that, like, you had to go for the head.
True, yeah.
Because this world is still new to her.
I saw the name. It's Logan. I remember. Probably wouldn't have remembered if you hadn't said it. Because I'm a little...
Yeah, but I mean, that's kind of what I liked about it, which is like, yeah, if you didn't notice, like, it doesn't really matter. You still understand kind of what, or like,
yeah.
If your concern is just like, I just want the medicine, I don't care, then you can ignore all this.
One of the only lockers that's tagged too, right?
Yeah. Oh, my name's on there too. I think all the locker names were members of the team.
Oh, cool.
There's Langley as well.
Langley.
Banks, Jonathan Banks is the artist.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. Kim Lyons. I see Kim Lyons up there.
Hard, yeah, because the camera cuts out right at a certain point. Of course, they loop.
Yeah, I was just noticing. I was like, oh, my name's on there like 3 times. That's weird.
Wow, there are so many shepherds of this. Crazy. These siblings. Or I guess.
There you go. Yeah.
Shepherd is. Wait, is Shepherd first name or last name? Because
they're siblings.
Mark Shepherd.
I found 2 more tapes. One of them is dated October.
Oh, found 2 more tapes.
It's the day after the first one we watched.
Put it in.
Yeah, I think one of them is actually completely optional. It doesn't really. It just clears up some of the more of the mystery about Crawford, but it's completely. If you miss it, doesn't really matter.
Right.
You can terminate the pregnancy or leave Crawford. Of course, that would be a death sentence for both you and your unborn child.
Maybe that's best. I stayed up all last night thinking about this. Why are we even trying to survive? To keep on living, if this is what it takes? If this is what it's turned us into?
I don't make the rules, Anna.
Doctor, I'm begging
Kind of a
you,
fair question.
Please help me.
Maybe one day when things are different, you can try again. But for now, today, we have to do this.
Oh, jeez. My penknife woman? Come on. My head's at the grate and everything.
Oh. I didn't realize he was patient zero of Crawford.
Yeah, yeah. This is, you're witnessing the downfall of Crawford. Like he.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I think we know what happened to Crawford.
More importantly, we got the
Oh
combination.
jeez, yeah.
I think we had a challenge with that because it was like there's like another tape in his locker. So people are like, well, why did he put a tape in his locker? I was like, well, I think you can assume that he didn't know that he was fatally wounded, so he was trying to cover up like some of the bad stuff he was doing. So he like stumbled over to his locker, stored that extra tape that you haven't watched yet, and then died, I guess.
We're in business.
Got in the locker.
Antibiotics, morphine.
Got in the locker.
Take as much of this as we can carry.
But you should watch that other tape if you get the chance.
This is more than enough for your people
chance.
and mine. Let's go.
I think we gave you the chance. I hope we did. If not, shame on us.
Yeah, it leaves in the third tape right
We'll
now.
head back to the classroom. Don't take too long, Lee.
Yeah, they're like, we don't care.
Yeah, like we have everything we need, dude. Like what?
I mean, that to me is like the good reflection of the player. It's like, yeah, if you don't care, you don't have to watch the third tape.
Right.
But if you do care, you can.
Oh, gee.
As fun as this was, I have to put a stop to this.
I was like, oh, it kind of looks like he's zipping up his pants. Ah, he is.
Wilson had someone down here yesterday taking inventory. He's really cracking down. I just can't risk it.
We had a deal.
Yeah, this was kind of a hard decision creatively. Like I think I was really nervous about this. Whereas like, we have a really strong character, Molly. Like, do we want to be her the victim of like sexual abuse?
Oh my gosh.
But I mean, in the day, it's tragic, but stuff happens and life is ugly. So.
Dang. Okay, so that's why she was picking at his brains for a while.
Well, shit.
Yep. Do it. Don't forget, guys, all donations with !donate go to help fight type 1 diabetes. Luckily, none of the characters in this game need it. Whoa, hi.
Yeah, right.
But they did need dialysis in the early version, so.
Yes. Which is like, you know, I forget the name of the game series. Dead Rising, I think. Well, another zombie game. I think it's like the second one.
Here you go.
The daughter has been bitten by a zombie, and to fight the infection, there's this medicine called Zombrex where she has to take it like once a day. And I always remember thinking like, well, wait, why give her this fake thing? Why not like look for something real, like, you know, dialysis or insulin, you know? But it's meant to be kind of a sillier game anyway, so a medicine specifically called Zombrex, like, you know, it's like, why not?
See, I like that you picked the choice because I was proud of that choice where it's like when Molly comes back and you're just like, you give the chance of like to kind of grill her about like, what the hell's going on? I just saw you on a tape. But if you as the player don't really care, then as Lee, you can respond and it's like, I don't really care about your backstory. Like, let's just go.
Right.
I heard someone coming.
And
all valid choices.
Was her sister the one on that picture? Was
Kenny
that
sent me out
same
to look
girl?
for something we can use to bust it open.
Yeah, because I believe she was trading sexual favors with the doctor for medicine for his
Just
sister.
found it. It was stuck in the door handle at the end of the hallway back there.
Oh, crap. Ben, you idiot. Jesus. Gonna get us killed. Yeah, man, it was just in the door over there. What up? What did I do? Oh, I pressed the X button accidentally. No! Holy crap.
I'm glad you did that because I was never sure how many people actually accidentally killed Molly or shot her or like in retrospect I wish it had made it a lot harder to get out with Molly alive, because I think most people ended up saving her. Or, well, actually, no. As I recall, I think if I remember right, I think we had the original version of this, like she would explicitly get killed, and then I think we thought like, maybe one day we'll want to bring her back into the episode, so we changed it so that it was ambiguous as to whether she died or not.
Come on, damn you!
I feel so bad. I'm not proud of myself. I just hit
But that's exactly what I was going for, though. I'm so glad you did that.
so immediately. I'm happy for you.
Talked about this.
No, wait. I want to know.
And
I don't think we made it.
This is all your fault.
and Ben is the reason why all the zombies are right outside.
I'm so sorry, man. Kid, this ain't the best time.
I mean, I sympathize with Ben. I was like, I think Ben feels just like a lot of guilt,
I'm sorry, Lee.
and
He's got a right
he's made a lot of mistakes.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah. How do you kind of deal with
All of
that?
us in danger. Gotcha and Duck. It was all me. It was all me.
And this is just like a great ratcheting up of the tension. It's like dealing with zombie again. It's like The Walking Dead. This is what The Walking Dead is. It's like you're dealing with a zombie, a practical zombie problem, but you're also dealing at the same time with the human drama.
Yes.
It's all happening at the same time.
Ah, crap. Kick ass later. Kenny, lay off.
Kick his ass, Seabass.
Man.
You're fucking dead, you hear me?
Kenny is pissed.
Child, you got them both fucking killed!
Oh my gosh. Yeah, this is a good reaction.
He's getting on my boat after what he did? He's out of his motherfucking mind!
Whoa.
You hear me, shitbird? You can stay behind and fucking rot!
Kenny, we'll sort this out later, after we get out of here, okay?
Ain't nothing to sort out. I just told you the way
I'm
it's
just
gonna be.
trying to help.
Boat's not big enough for all of us. Somebody's gotta get left behind. Might as well be this piece of shit right here.
Well, I vote we leave.
Dang.
I'm sorry, Ben. I know you mean well, but all I want to do is get back to Omi, and
Dang.
you put that at risk.
I'm sorry, Ben. I've got to do
Crap.
what's best for the group. That means cutting you loose.
Cutting Ben loose.
What about the rest of us? Don't we get a say?
Okay, Bree, well, oh, man.
Yeah, again, why I feel bad for this contest winner because she got killed. She got killed in the most horrible way.
She's like, hey, you want to play this game? I want a contest and I'll have a character in it. Oh, God.
To me, it's like more tragic because her character went to school here.
Oh.
So much for the armory. What's left of it?
A few rounds. That's it.
You didn't close that door behind us?
I couldn't. The lock was busted.
Great. Just fucking great. Come on. There's gotta be a way out down here.
Maybe if we push Ben down the stairs. Poor Ben. I don't have anything against him where it's like I want him to die, obviously. But I mean, one thing after another.
Lee, look.
You got Bree killed now.
Dang. Well, slowly but surely having to worry about less and less people. Is left stick gonna go away? Yeah, I can do that.
This all, I'm thankful to. I think this part of the episode specifically, I was like pretty burned out and like running out of ideas of like how to make an action gameplay mechanic. So to Nick Herman's credit, I think he created this entire thing.
Oh crap! I was trying to look up to shoot. I was too busy with my leg, and there are my.
No,
guys.
like yeah, he had the great idea of like multitasking the pulling the leg out versus keeping the zombies off of you.
Of course.
So I'm glad they were able to flesh that out because my tank was running dry when I got to this part of the design.
God. It is just going for it, isn't it? All right, I got this. Let your leg get free. I know, game.
Yeah, in season 1, we would do so many things. We would have so many different crazy things that we do in any single episode. That we kind of slowed down as time went on, but in season 1, it was like if it was a good idea, just try to make it work.
Right.
Yeah, and people really put in the effort and the care. Like the team really cared about the game, and that was great to have.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm loving this.
Thanks, bro.
Flip more. Oh crap. Here we go.
This is so well choreographed.
I love it.
I love the lighting too.
So good.
I know.
That's
I
awesome.
wish I could take credit for any of this, but no.
Oh man.
That was.
They're making you look good, Andrew.
No, it's not me.
Yeah. Why? Never mind. I can see the sewer where we came in from here. I think we can do this. Well, what are we waiting
Remember that was a pickup line that Sean and Jake made us add afterwards. It's like, oh, you didn't come here through the railroad, did you? Because that pays off in episode 5.
Come on, let's go.
Oh really?
Yeah.
There's the bell.
Yeah, I kind of like it's like one of the mysteries of Crawford.
Oh.
Like if you want to know the story, you can, but if you don't care. But like this is actually the leader of Crawford. This is Overson. This is kind of like his last stand, and he sort of hung himself before he died. And
He been the bell the whole time along.
yeah. But that was always like, I was like, how did no one see it? But I guess don't worry about that. So this is the choice that was like the hardest thing to do. Originally, the design was where Ben would kind of plead with you. It's like, oh, pull me up, like please don't let me die, please don't let me die. But when I kind of looked at it, I was like, well, if Ben's feeling like all this guilt, like his response should just be like, let me go. Like I'm just dragging the group down. I just get us in trouble. Like just let me go. And I thought that would move the needle so that a bit, because I assumed going into this that everyone would just drop Ben because no one liked him. So when I added that thing, then I was like, okay, that'll make people more pull him up. But then when we did our playtest, nobody let Ben drop. Everybody pulled him up.
Okay.
So we were kind of like, oh, what do we do? So I think what we ended up doing was like there was a small little moment, which you might have missed it, which is like before Kenny leaves, he sees Ben over the ledge and he sees Lee grabbing onto him, and Kenny kind of gives Lee a look like, you know what I want you to do.
Yeah, he's like.
So now you as the player have to decide like, who I want to side with here. Do I want to do what's going to make Kenny feel good? Am I going to just like let Ben go? So we moved the needle a little bit back more towards the 50-50, but I think most people still chose to save Ben.
Yeah.
Which again was like really surprising to me coming into this. I did not expect that.
I was this close to saving him, but I didn't.
It was a fast timer.
Yeah, well, that's how life is.
I look for them, but no.
Clementine, what happened here?
One of those things got inside. It tried to get upstairs. I stopped it.
Upstairs? Homid.
Man, did she shoot that zombie?
You did good, kiddo.
Good.
Where's Molly?
Crap.
She didn't make it, Clem. I'm sorry.
I liked her.
As far as we know, Molly didn't make it. Yeah, I have to assume. My fault.
Krista? Everything okay?
You okay? Well, less and less people for the boat, I guess.
Krista, don't! Stay back!
I never should have left you. I'm so sorry.
Krista, get away from him.
Oh, is he alive? Okay.
Back already?
Thank God. Someone shoot him! we can't take the risk.
Feel like I could use some.
That's kind of a sucky situation. Every time you enter a room and someone's sleeping, it's like, oh crap. Like, what do I do?
Dumb son of a bitch nearly got us.
It's kind of a bummer. I liked Omid as a character. I was a little like sad that he spent most of this episode like unconscious.
Yeah, right. I enjoyed him for what little bit of time we got to see him in episode 30.
And see, that's a moment where Kenny kind of was like, Lee did a good job. But if like you pulled Ben up Kenny would be like not really happy with you at all.
I don't want her to understand it.
You did the right thing. Trust me.
Weird that
Or
want
eating
had
it.
an apostrophe.
I'm gonna go start work on the boat.
Okay, with a little
I think the
luck,
word
Gary?
before it was don't. It didn't have an apostrophe, but
I'll
want
stay
did.
here for a
So
few more hours to check on
typo there.
Let me know if you need anything.
We'll add that to the patch. to
Yeah,
fix
yeah.
that.
The JDRF patch.
Maybe now's a good time for you.
No,
and me to have a little
I've
talk.
greatly enjoyed this game. It has sucked me in. I'm really stressed out about whatever's gonna happen.
Listen, man. About what happened to Bree.
Don't beat yourself up over it. There was nothing you could have done.
Or Bree.
You want to
Or
know the
Bree.
worst part?
What?
I don't feel much.
I thought this is kind of an actually interesting bit of writing I thought Gary did, which is like he's so like numb and hardened that he's just like, I should feel bad about it, but I don't know. Like it's like I got a lot of other stuff to think about.
Right, and I feel like that's kind of like the players get to that at a certain point. I mean, like, you know, obviously there's always something new, but like it's just kind of like, ah, man, after seeing this, after seeing that, like it's awful, but have to make a decision. You know, you have to keep moving forward to stay alive.
Destination. Do you really think that's her best chance of finding somewhere where she can be safe? Because I don't. So I want to make you.
Yeah, and I think there was a moment too you could do optionally, which is like when Bree comes back from getting the gasoline, you can talk to her and get her like backstory, and it's like also really tragic because it was like she had cancer and she fought it and she overcame it, and like then she just gets eaten by zombies in the next scene. You're like, oh my god.
Yeah.
She'll be safe with us. Safer than she will be if she stays.
Trying to take away Clem.
That's what you want for her.
Walk away
Yeah,
from
this was a interesting design choice we had to make. I can kind of explain towards the end of the episode why we had this happen, but it was actually a cheat to speed up the pace of the end of the episode.
Staying with you is not what's best for her. If no one else around here will tell you that, then I will.
I mean, it's also an interesting choice where he's just like, you know, she'll be safe with us. Like, how do you decide this? I think it's one of the few cases where we just had Lee make a declaration without the players' involvement.
And yeah.
Was there ever a time when this was interactive?
No, it was added very late, the scene, because we wanted the end of the episode to be a bit quicker paced. So originally it was like Clementine goes missing. The gang's like, oh, where are we gonna go? They went back to Savannah. They went back to River Street to look around for a while. And then they went in the sewers. And they went back to their way to the morgue. And it was like, it ate up so much time that we're like, well, what if the doctor just basically says like, I'll take Clementine. So then when Clementine eventually goes missing, Lee's like, oh, I bet he's down there. And then she took her. So they just immediately go there. And it was just a way to keep the pace of the episode really quick.
What happened to Ben? What did Kenny mean when he said you did what you had to?
Gee.
Yeah, I know.
Clem, you have to believe me. I tried to save him, but Ben didn't want.
This was like the biggest,
What Ben did was very.
the best advice that Sean Vanneman gave me about writing for Clementine, because I think originally
Everyone else in danger.
she had a lot more opinions about what you did with Ben and like made a lot more judgments, and he was like, just boil it down to like what a child would say. And like I remember I think there's one version of the scene where she's just like if you brought Clementine to Crawford with you and they're making decisions like, oh, do we leave Ben behind, or what do we do about Ben? And Clementine kind of just speaks up and she's like, I like Ben, he's my friend. And Sean Vanneman was like, just have her say that, don't have her say anything else, because like you don't need to say anything else.
I'd like to, Clem, but I don't think we'll have time. We really shouldn't stay here any longer. It's not safe.
I think I tried to argue with Sean and Jake about letting Lee in this moment tell her like, I think your parents are dead, but they were like, no, we got to keep that for episode 5.
Nice job, Caleb.
Kill me.
Do you feel bad yet?
I if getting like 2 or 3 people killed, yeah, 3 people killed, and the one building wasn't enough. Watching, Clem go into fetal and cry is, what the heck? I wish I knew who to blame for this.
Andrew Langley.
Yeah, I'll never be able to talk to them. Never be able to hear my frustration.
Clementine?
Dang it. Everyone donated for sad. I don't know who all is active or lurking or...
This is the recurring theme of this episode, which is like Clementine kind of, again, wandering off on her own.
Yeah.
Because we're trying to lay that seed of like, she's getting more independent. She's going off to do her own thing.
Clementine? Clementine!
Clever. Oh, God. What? Lee, walk a little faster, please. I love his fast little walking gait from the zombies.
God, we should redo that hat for Type 1 giveaways.
Oh.
Doggy. What's gonna happen? How close are we to the end?
Close.
Oh, okay. Was not expecting that. That was very much... Okay. Man, these walkers are fast. Oh, crap. Ah, crap.
Lee? Lee? You out here?
Ah. Oh no.
Are you crazy? What are you doing out here? It ain't
Oh.
safe.
No, what do I do?
I know, I love this conundrum. It's like, do you tell people? Yeah.
What the hell is going on?
Oh, crap. I hate it. Thanks.
This is what I was saying. Like, I think most of the story beats for this ending were kind of already there when I joined the project. So I knew that, like, oh, as long as I can get to this moment, then the episode's going to be good.
I don't know. Last night, Vernon came to me and offered to take her with him. Said she'd be better off.
Son of a bitch. I knew we couldn't trust that fucker.
Wherever she is.
So we think Vernon took her?
Yeah, so that's why we added that scene where he was like, I'll take her, just to kind of get you there quicker.
Yeah.
We have a better chance of finding her if we all go together.
Yeah, but yeah, I think this was in design from the very beginning because it's kind of one of the big culmination of all your choices in the series, where it's like people kind of decide, like, am I going to go with you? Am I going to stay behind? And it really is like, it's the most complex dialogue decision tree I've ever kind of laid out, where it's like, it's extremely complex and every character has their own motivations and their priorities. And it's like with Kenny, you kind of have to decide, it's like, okay, well, Kenny's going to make a decision. Like, either he's going to go with you to help you find Clementine or he's going to stay behind. And we weighed all these decisions that you made before him in the past, but you kind of have to decide, like, is Kenny the kind of guy who carries a grudge? Is he the kind of guy that really only cares about the most recent thing you did? And factoring all those like weighting of decisions into their personality was like a really, really interesting challenge. But it was a lot of fun.
This was one of the best payoffs we ever did, with a real reflection of the game, reflecting on your choices and deciding who you play the 5th episode with.
Although topped, I think, by the end of episode 5, that is an even better example of like all the decisions you've made in the episodes leading up to. So that'll be fun when you get there.
Penultimate. I'm excited to play. What is it? 400 Days.
That's a good one, yeah.
Because it uses decisions you made, just as I believe as little story beats. That'll be fun. They're all gone. Oh. Did they take the boat?
But the implementation of this, I think, is really commendable for the team, because it's like, realistically, based on your choices, Lee could be here alone. Lee can be here with just Kenny. Lee can be here with just Krista. Lee can be here with Krista and Omid, with no Kenny. Like, every possible permutation is possible here. Or Ben could be here too. Like, it really, this is all tailored to your experience.
And it all plays into the next.
Next
episode as well.
Leads directly into episode 5.
That's so awesome. Well,
so the beginning of episode 5 is like completely different depending on who's with you and who's not.
That's so great. Because because so far just about everything has been like, you know, besides like Doug or Carly, you know, stuff like that. Pretty much everything is, well, this is gonna happen. This is gonna happen. And I mean, I'm used to playing Back to the Future and Sam and Max, where it's like, yeah, you can have this character call you Calvin Klein or, you know, whatever, but it's not gonna ultimately change anything major. So I'm really happy that this is so tailored. It's really neat.
Yeah, just wait to the beginning of 5. It gets even crazier.
Who is this? You shouldn't talk to Clementine's father like that. You're effing dead. What do you want? Oh man, he didn't even say it. No! Come on!
But this is like one of the things that I loved about this, because, to spoil it, in episode 5, he says the thing that you say.
Oh, that's awesome.
Like, you if you were playing this when it released, you had to wait like a month or so before you got to see the payoff of what he said.
Before you see your option play up. Dang. That's awesome. Oh, that was so great, guys. That was awesome. I really am, like, I'm super stoked. Hopefully Emily can figure out if I still plan on streaming this on Saturday morning, so regardless, it'd be pretty good. I'm excited.
Yeah.
I want to read the stats real quick. So did you kill the boy in the attic? You and 20% of players did not kill him. So I was going to kill him, and I think in my last playthrough I did. So that makes sense. You lie to or threaten Vernon. We were 57% of players were rational and honest. Did you bring Clementine with you to Crawford? No, 52% of players left her at the house. Did you let Ben fall to his death? 54% of players let him go. That's crazy. I did too, but I love how, did you reveal your bite to the group? 80% of players showed off the bite. I think at that point, I don't know.
Yeah, I think that was one where I was like, I don't think we can move the needle on that one. But I'm also like, maybe we don't need to. Like, I think it's
it's hard because, like, you know, you don't want to be. That's one of the things that it's like I can't be shady about. Like, I can't, I can't, you know, give my group reason to doubt me. Like, yeah, I'm just gonna be honest because otherwise, they might lash out real quick.
Sure.
Yeah, the clock's ticking on you anyway at that point.
Yeah, for sure. All right, well, that is it for episode 4. I just donated $100 in the night. I don't know if anyone else has money to donate, but thank y'all so much for all the donations we've gotten. And thank you guys for being on the stream with us.
No, thank you so much for doing this, and everyone who donated. It's really appreciated, and it was really fun to. Like I said, I haven't really revisited this since we shipped it, so it was really awesome for me, and it's nice to see enthusiasm from people, and working towards a good cause. So yeah, thank you guys so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you everyone that joined us, and thank you Caleb for doing such a great job. And it's so fun to watch you enjoy the game. It gives us it really makes me feel good.
Well,
And
thank
Commander
you.
too.
Yeah, it's I mean, great game. I'm very excited to finish it out, uh, and to get very upset over Lee's ultimate demise. Yeah, I remember playing this game way back in the day, and of course it was like still a few years after the game had initially released. And I was playing with Blake's little brother Dallas, and he was like trying not to spoil things for me, but he's like, you're gonna be so sad by the ending. And I was like, well, I imagine Lee's gonna die. And he's like, what? And I'm like, well, yeah, like you see Clementine older on the cover, but like Lee's nowhere to be found. So like it's, I mean, like I don't know, like I assume he's not gonna make it too long. He's like, come on, man, don't talk like that. Like, you know, like he's like, just play the game, just.
Yeah, I'll be interested. Like, if I don't know for sure. I don't know if Jake and Sean ever had a story in mind where Lee actually lived, but
man,
I'm not aware of one. I think as long as I was on the project, I think that was always the outcome.
Dang,
That would have made season 2 easier
or harder.
Right? Yeah, I mean, you know, and it feels good to have him kind of dying out here as a climax to season 1. Because you don't want him to survive season 1 and then kill him off episode 1, season 2, you know? Like,
right.
It just wouldn't have the same emphasis. So, but thank you guys so much for tonight. This was so much fun.
It was my pleasure. Thank you so much.
Well, I want to say thanks to Nick too, who said great seeing you guys. It was like a mini reunion. It was. It always feels good to do these with everybody.
Yeah, definitely. If any of y'all can, you know, hang out for even a moment on Saturday morning, feel free. No worries if no one can. We'll be playing Walking Dead season 1 episode 5, and we'll see how all of our decisions
I'll be here.
Oh geez.
I'll be watching.
Oh no! Oh no! This is awful. I hate
right.
this.
I forgot about this. Yeah, we added a bonus on this episode.
Oh, I love this. Yeah.
Oh,
see, this is what I love.
I-
It's like the payoff right there.
Wow.
Yeah, I forgot we did this. Yeah,
that's clever. Yeah. Oh,
I think
man.
we just wanted to show you, like, yeah, this is how it could have gone down, just in case you were wondering if this actually mattered, like it does.
Wow. No, that definitely. That's so crazy. I'm glad that the. Oh man, not even the slight majority. I was gonna say I'm glad the slight majority got them all, but no, the slight majority only had Kenny to back him up.
Yeah, that's a pretty impressive spread, though. I hadn't seen these numbers in a long time. That's really good.
Oh man, does it still? Do y'all know if it's like? I mean, still updating, like based off of a server that probably Skybound has or something?
I would think so. I would think so. I'll check in with them. I'll ask them.
Someone asked that the other stream, and I was like, some old computer down in someone's basement is just running numbers on The Walking Dead. I don't know.
I would think so. It might be a certain set of data, like every year or something, like not for history, but
right. Gotcha. Well, thank y'all so much, guys. It was great talking to y'all. Great meeting y'all for sure.
Yeah, thank you so much, and like, yeah, thank you to the whole team who worked on this game, and like a really talented crew, and it was really a pleasure and an honor to be able to work on this with such amazing people.
It was such amazing people pulled together and did a once in a lifetime work.
Yeah. I really appreciate it, guys. Y'all have a great night. Thank y'all again. And to everyone in the stream, thank y'all for watching, and be sure to check us out Saturday morning for the finale of season 1.
All right, cheers.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, bye y'all. And for the rest of y'all, yeah, thank you so much, JDRF. Thank y'all to everyone who has donated, watched, shared, The stream on Saturday, I believe, starts at 9 a.m. dinner time, which I believe is 7 Pacific Standard. And we'll update schedule and all that. I'll work out the JDRF. All right, thanks for watching, and we're gonna sing us out. See you next time. I'll be streaming tomorrow night as well, but I don't know what I'm playing. I think it's like not Fall Guys, some random game like. Bye guys. Also, thank you to all the new followers. Y'all are amazing. Be sure to check out more streams to stay calibrated. Whatever. Bye guys. And unfortunately, this stream is over, but we'll see you very soon.
Hey, this was really fun.
We hope you liked it too. We really do.
Seems like we're just begun when suddenly we're through.
Unfortunately.
Goodbye, goodbye, good friends, goodbye.
Goodbye, everyone.
For now, it's time to go.
I really do hate to say it.
But hey, I say, well, that's okay.
Yeah, it is.
'Cause we'll see you very soon, I know.
Yeah, super soon.
Very soon, I know.
Ooh, get it.
Goodbye, goodbye, good friends, goodbye. And tomorrow's another day.
Caleb, Robot, and the Brobits crew.
And you'll be ready for you to come and stay. To watch a Let's Play another day.
Bye, guys.